It's time. It is fucking time. I'll give people a few wait for a few moments for the peoples to show up and whatnot. Oh boy, and already just have to put like the worst thing ever in the title and a bunch of new people flood in. Well, hello new people. You guys like Bonzi, buddy? Hey Dirty, welcome to hell.
Welcome to the Microsoft Agent Scripting Helper. Who here likes Cinnamon and DeviantArt fanfiction?
That's still a little bit too fast of a reading rate.
Who here likes Cinnamon and DeviantArt fanfiction? Who here likes Cinnamon and DeviantArt fanfiction?
There we go, 178 words per minute should be a fairly good rate. Anyways, first of all, we, of course... There is no being terrified here, only just goofy. There will be only goofy. Let me just pop out a few notifications. Already fucking 19 viewers just to the site of Bonzi Reads. Okay. Let me just send out a few notifications. It has been a long time since we last fucking did this, but yeah. Let me just throw this out, wait a few moments for more people to show up. So here's the lovely thing about this. If whoever here remembers the last Bonzi Reads, or not the Kirby Smut one. The Kirby Smut was pretty bad, but the very first Bonzi Reads, which was Bonzi Reads the worst thing ever. Turns out, DeviantArt can always surpass the worst in terms of literary fiction. If you can even call this literature anymore. Not only did I find something worse than, I don't know, a woman growing super buff, fucking growing corrosive milk nipples, and shooting nipple lasers and becoming God and destroying the universe, someone found out a way to surpass that, all the while trying to treat his writing as if he's like the next fucking Lovecraft or something. You'll recognize it by his fucking writing style, but he's just a wannabe fucking Lovecraft. It's absolutely what the fuck. How seriously he takes writing, I don't know, a buff fiction. There's a lot of shit to get through before we get to the insane stuff, of course, but yeah. Alright, just gonna make sure connection is just fine. Got a spooky music ready. I'm actually gonna boost the sound output a little bit. We're just gonna run some testing. Let's increase the desktop boost by 1. Just gonna make sure, we're gonna just do some real quick testing with music.
Ray Parker Jr. Here we go with Ghostbusters.
Who here likes Cinnamon and DeviantArt fanfiction?
Is that loud enough, or do I need to turn down the volume just a wee bit? Exactly, magnetism. Well, we did manage to get 20 people watching that stream yesterday. So, testing. Got the whole gang here, boys! Oh my fucking god. So this might actually be a two-parter series, because this story is so long, it'll take a whopping 3 to 4 hours to actually get through completely. So I hope, Bonzi's commentary can,
Testing test 1, 2, 3. This is Bonzi, Buddy, and I roam free.
Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be a very fucking long one. 3 hours. We're gonna be going for about 3 hours listening to probably one of the worst things ever conceived by mankind. We're gonna be doing it one chapter at a time, and we might actually get interrupted after the first 2 hours. But let's get ready for fucking hell. I just also want you to listen to this guy's fucking writing style. It is just the absolute worst fucking thing ever, because of how seriously he takes basically the equivalent. Imagine trying to write a porno, but you're like, oh, this porno is actually art. That's how this fucking guy writes. Best part is that this guy abandoned his account and locked all comments as well, so I can't make any mean comments. So we all fucking ready for this? I say we wait. Well, yeah, okay, here we go. Let me reshuffle the grooves. Alright, we all ready? Consider this a challenge. If you can stay the full however long hours, then I commend you. We're already good, Spencer, sorry. Yeah, we are not accepting song requests, but we'll be starting. Alright. You guys ready? We going in 3. It starts off pretty slow, but then it just slowly gets to hell. 3, 2, 1, go. To pull those glasses off, Bonzi.
Chapter 1. Sarah awoke with a start. Her lusty, perfectly toned body was covered in sweat as the nightmare already started to slip from her waking mind. All she could recall from whatever had so disturbed her was a dark storm and...
Oh, by the way, guys, she's really hot.
But depressing thoughts weren't made for Sarah Sager's ginger head. Sarah was known for being
we gotta find a way to
cheerful,
creatively,
confident, and
How
charismatic.
about
Some
ginger
humans
head?
are wired to experience disappointment, and optimistic Sarah was one. Her large breasts, perfect figure, and
by
warm
the way,
sparkling
in
green
case you
eyes
didn't catch it,
didn't
she's
hurt
fucking
either.
hot.
The deck is always stacked in favor of stacked girls. I blame her that as a dream of the royal and chaos and an imposing figure
The
faded, Sarah
deck is
remembered
always
where she was,
stacked
her
in
new apartment
for
rented
deaf
with her oldest
girls.
friend, Lisa Basilisk. The bedside clock read 6:30 a.m. as Sarah began the stretching routine she'd picked up when she captained her high school cheerleading team. Her pink PJs were barely able to contain her bursting bosom as she performed the rigorous regimen. Her shoulder-length red hair shone
deck is
in
always
the morning
stacked
light
in
as
the
she finished with a graceful cartwheel. Sarah was the kind of girl who never needed much preparation to look radiant. Her indomitable attitude contributed to this. There is a natural beauty in the self-assured.
This is
Sarah
just
Sager
original
unquestioningly
fiction.
knew she was
This isn't
glorious,
even fan
and
fiction.
thus those around her knew it too. As if this wasn't insufferable enough, Sarah was also a morning person. A luminescent smile on her red lips, and the nightmare
she's
completely
perfect.
forgotten. Sarah went to see if her flaxen
I
friend
really
was
wish I
awake.
could.
Sunny
Yeah, let
Sarah
me see if
would
I can
likely
find a way to
characterize her best friend as a
actually show
knockdown,
Bonzi.
which was just about the mildest way of classifying the cold Lisa Basilisk. The bespectacled physics grad was the quintessential stoic intellectual. Lisa always needed a joke explained to her, only to say interesting and not when it was. It could be said this mousy blonde found more joy in solving physics equations than sex.
Yep.
If it could be said she found joy in anything. Short and thin,
physics
Lisa would
equations
often
and
forget
sex?
to eat in pursuit of some esoteric and, if you ask Sarah, useless piece of knowledge about the physical world. Sarah wasn't the dummy, but she
Yeah, I
never
can't just lay the
understood
text
why
here.
anyone would care about how things worked. As far as Sarah was
all
concerned,
6
it
parts
was
of this
enough they
fan
did.
fiction so you
Things
can
did what they
record.
did
Here, I'll
well
link the
without
fan...
complicated
No, it's not
equations
even fan
explaining
fiction, that's the
how.
worst part.
But an unhealthy obsession with physics was only the tip of the iceberg when it came to Lisa Basilisk. Because of this,
There you go.
Sarah
It is
Sager
now
knew she
in the
was Lisa's
description
only
so you
real
can follow
friend.
along.
Sarah came into the shared kitchen and, unsurprisingly, found her roomie at the table typing on her laptop. Lisa's childlike figure in its starched clothing didn't betray a hint of femininity.
She's really
her golden
hot, and
blonde
she's
hair lay
also,
limp and lifeless as the
no,
computer's
that's
bright
Sarah.
screen
Never mind.
reflected in her bulky glasses. "You're up early," Sarah said cheerfully, going to the cupboard for some sugary cereal. "Up late. You know I have trouble sleeping," Lisa replied in her almost monotone voice as she continued her work. "Up late. That's what I meant," Sarah said as she poured herself a bowl of the sweetened cereal.
Oh yeah,
"Your
she's
night
drinking
terrors
sugary
aren't
cereal, guys. I
contagious,
gotta be
are
very
they?"
specific about the fucking
Lisa
cereal.
ignored the glib question. "One day, dear Sarah, your metabolism will no longer be able to deal with your diet," Lisa commented flatly.
She's drinking
"And on
sugary
that
cereal, so I
day,
could
you
say,
have
oh, she's
permission to shoot me,"
hyper-metabolistic,
Sarah
so,
replied in her
yeah.
good-natured way as she got the milk. Then, in a serious tone, Sarah addressed her friend. Lisa, you look awful, and I mean more than usual. You should get a few hours of sleep at least. At this, Lisa stopped typing. Her shoulders slumped, and she
I thought
put
she was
off her
eating
glasses
cereal,
to rub her
not
tired blue
typing.
eyes. She clearly was exhausted. With more emotion than normal, which was to say little, Lisa replied, "You are right." Without returning her thick glasses, Lisa looked up at her old friend. Their eyes, locked and both froze. You must
Oh, get ready
understand,
for some
dear reader,
pretension.
that of all the aberrations that comprised the eccentric Lisa, her ultramarine eyes were, by a wide margin, the most pronounced. They weren't misshapen or oddly colored, which, in a way, made what they were all the worse. They were unfathomable. Looking into Lisa Basilisk's bitter blue eyes was like looking into a bottomless void. It was akin to gazing into the deepest part of a cold, unmeasured ocean. Her
You know,
high
have you
school
ever
classmates
looked into
used to
somebody's
claim Lisa
eyes and
was
said,
soulless,
"Your
as only
eyes look like a
unbounded
fucking
depth
void"?
could be seen in her icy gaze. To say you could get lost in her vacuous eyes was to make the greatest of understatements. There was nothing to get lost in. Not even Sarah, after all these years, was immune to this unsettling effect. The extended moment of total desolation continued as they looked at each other until Lisa realized what had happened and jerked away in embarrassment, slamming on her murky glasses. "I'm sorry," Lisa muttered as a blush blossomed over her chalky complexion. Sarah shook her head and while still somewhat shaken quickly recovered. "It's nothing," she said, her confidence already back to being implacable. "I barely even notice anymore." Sarah was sure Lisa wore those Coke bottle glasses mainly to mitigate the effect of her gaze. She pitied the optometrist. Lisa kept her head down as she closed her computer and put it under her arm. Without looking up, the short blonde slumped past the tall redhead. "I'm sorry," Lisa muttered again. "I'll get some rest, as you suggest."
To help you guys along.
And with that, Lisa was already out the door headed to her room. Sarah just shook her head, watching her friend leave and ate her cereal. In Sarah's heart there was nothing but selfless pity for the unfortunate girl as she thought back over her interactions with a hapless blonde. Withdrawn Lisa was always an outsider, and only affable Sarah had ever made her feel otherwise. By the end of this narrative, if you believe nothing else I tell you, dear reader, believe this, Sarah had saved Lisa from complete loneliness. Both know it still. True, Sarah can make anyone feel like they belong, and perhaps this is what makes her unique throughout all possible worlds.
What? All possible? What?
Perhaps because of this, Sarah had taken to the social pariah. She had even given Lisa her first, and, as far as Sarah was aware, only sexual experience. Sarah had lived to regret it and often wondered what only Lisa now thought when she looked at stunning Sarah. Sarah knew Lisa identified as bisexual, claiming the source of the sexual experience was mostly irrelevant, that only the end result mattered. Sarah wondered if even Lisa could be this odd. But, with regards to their own sexual interaction, Sarah was more than willing to let
already they're
Biggums
fucking lesbians.
Notwithstanding, the rest of Sarah's Friday was uneventful. She went on her morning run and attended the graduate class for her MS in education. Other chores kept her occupied and on campus for the rest of the day. She planned on having Brad, her sweet but muscle-bound boyfriend, buy her dinner. However, at the last minute she remembered he had some fraternity event. Sarah didn't like eating alone, so she decided to swing by Lisa's cubicle in the science building and invite her to dinner. When Sarah came to the dark corner that held her best friend's workspace, Lisa was there typing away, the computer light reflecting in her glasses. In the nearly empty workroom, Sarah asked, "You wanna grab some food?" Lisa, who seemed to not notice the approach of her friend, stopped typing. "Do you?" she stated. "Yes," Sarah replied, "that's why I asked." "No," replied Lisa, rubbing her eyes under her glasses, "I mean, it's do you." "Look, never mind.
Food? No, I want to starve
I can go with you," Lisa said as she stood. There was a note of irrationality in her normally flat voice. Sarah, always keen to pick up on the shifting moods of those around her, knew this slight change in Lisa's tone was the equivalent of someone else shouting in frustration. Not willing to discuss a heated matter while enclosed, Sarah said nothing further as they made their way outside of the science building in silence. "Something wrong?" Sarah asked her longtime friend as they started walking off campus to the nearby Chinese restaurant, which catered to poor grads and undergrads alike. Lisa sighed as they trudged along in the crisp autumn air. After another long pause, she replied, "It's my research. It isn't progressing."
Especially fucking
Remembering past conversations, Sarah asked, "Are you still working on that zero asset?" "The 0-point generator, yes," Lisa replied. Knowing her work was one thing Lisa normally enjoyed talking about, Sarah bravely asked as they sat down to eat. "I don't think you ever explained to me how it worked."
Oh boy, the 0-point generator. This is how you grow really buff, guys, through a 0-point generator.
She'd been expecting a stream of technical jargon to follow the question. As the pause drew out, Sarah thought she'd better break it. "Well," Lisa looked at her lifelong friend through the protection her cloudy glasses offered. "Don't misunderstand,
He's
but
really
I'm not sure
smart,
how
so
to
she can't
explain it in a way
explain it,
you would
because, you know, it's a
comprehend."
fucking theoretical
Sarah was
concept?
taken back by this
Heard of
statement.
it before.
First and most obvious, she was a little insulted. But she also knew her own limitations. It wasn't arrogance for Lisa to know she understood her project
Or
in
how
a
about
way
you just
others could
Google
not.
what a zero-point
What was
energy
more
is?
shocking was the level of social awareness the statement conveyed. And it was to that Sarah responded, "It's uncharacteristic of you to care about others' point of view." Lisa paused as if considering her answer.
Why are you even asking
True.
Lisa this shit? You could just
But,
Google it
well,
yourself.
It's uncharacteristic for you to ask. I just want to make the most of this opportunity.
What?
As Sarah was painfully aware, socially awkward moments were par for the course when it came to dealing with Lisa.
There's nothing
As a
awkward about it. It's
social
like, oh,
Sarah
let
just
me
let
just
the
ask.
silence hang,
Well,
sure
let me
in the
ask about
knowledge
something
that
hyper
Lisa would
fucking
break it.
complicated that I don't know
Her
about.
hypothesis
Oh, you can't
was
understand
vindicated
this.
as
It's
Lisa
really
uttered,
fucking complicated.
"Cosmic microwave
I'm insulted.
background is the thermal radiation left over from the time of recombination in
What?
Big Bang cosmology." No. No. You don't. There was another long pause as Sarah made a show of chewing her egg fouillon. Lisa tried again. This time she simply stated anything and everything as a temperature, even nothing. Sarah guessed Lisa
We
wanted
will
her
get to that moment
interject
at the
since
very end of the
attempted
fucking chapter.
monologue and apparently failed. And she was a little surprised by the nonsensical
Oh, and he also
statement
misspelled
coming
monologue
from her
as
oversensical friend.
M-O-N-O-L-O-G.
What? Said Sarah. Anything and everything has a temperature, even space, restated Lisa. Right, space's temperature is really cold, said Sarah. It is. The vacuum has a temperature of about 2.76 Kelvin, which is really cold. But not absolutely cold. Okay, replied Sarah. So it is commonly held with
I feel
cosmologists
insulted
that
that you think I
leftover
can't
radiation
understand
from
this,
the
and
entire
it's just
real
like...
explosion that started the universe.
Okay, I think
the
Sarah's
Big
the real
Bang.
bitch here.
Oh, I've heard of that. It's a TV show. Said Lisa,
Did
on
you just
unfamiliar
fucking
ground.
reference Big Bang
I
Theory?
wouldn't know about that. Regardless, I can say it was also the event that started time. Sarah was disappointed.
I know the Big Bang. That's a TV show.
But
Who
decided to
talks
continue
like
playing
that?
along. So she asked, "How can time start?" Lisa seemed to be gaining momentum. Well, no one really knows. Before time is self-contradictory anyway. We can only examine the event from within it, since we are part of the universe.
Hey, Edwin.
So, we're fundamentally unable to comprehend it. Science can only tell us what happened after the Big Bang, not before, because what happened before anything and everything happened doesn't even make sense as a question. Are you getting spiritual on me? Sarah said jokingly. What? Queried Lisa. No, of course not. There is sound mathematical basis for a system's inability to define its starting parameters. While Tarski's undefinability theorem,
What
which
the
is
fuck are
derived
you
in part
talking
from
about
Gödel's
now?
incompleteness theorems, is meant strictly for
Let me
arithmetical
talk about a bunch of
systems.
theorems
It applies
here,
to
because,
any
you know,
suitably
Google it,
robust
you
logic
fucks.
system, which science necessarily assumes the universe is, dear girl. At this esoteric outbreak, Sarah made a show of cracking open her fortune cookie. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Sarah plainly stated as she read her fortune, all things that begin, and it read. Ominous,
Oh,
she thought.
gosh.
Unaware of the
Foreshadowing
portent,
through
Lisa
fortune
blinked
cookie.
behind her nebulous
A
glasses.
classic and
Simon
well-known
said,
writing technique.
Space-time has a non-zero temperature and the zero-point generator harnesses
People are
this
attracted to
latent
shit
energy.
here, 09, that's
Sarah
why.
slowly
50
chewed
people,
the
wow.
cardboard-like cookie and said, "Nope, still don't get it." Lisa sighed, rubbed her depthless eyes under her stormy glasses, and tried again. Imagine the universe
Oh,
is
did I
a
accidentally
lake.
scroll up?
Okay, said
Fuck.
Sarah speciously. Some
No, I
parts
didn't.
of the lake are deep, but even the shallowest parts still are covered by a little water. Okay. My machine is like a straw, meant to suck up the water from the shallow parts.
Suck.
But since the
Oh,
shallow
boy.
parts are still part of the overall lake, water will always fill them back up. Okay. Now replace the lake with a universe and water with energy and you have it. Sounds simple enough, said Sarah glibly. So, why isn't it working? I don't know. Lisa almost cried, startling Sarah
It
with the
tried to give me the good
uncharacteristic
suck,
outburst.
but it's not working.
Everything says it is, but it isn't. Not knowing what else to say, Sarah exclaimed, what do you mean? Lisa looked like she was about to try explaining again. But then, rubbing her eyes under her glasses, she
Is this a
said,
new
why
theory
don't I
of
just show you?
Is this a new show,
The two
a
women
new episode
paid
of
their
Big
bill and
Bang
left.
Theory?
As they walked back to campus, the
I'm
floor
sorry,
now
my
had the
zero-point
light
generator
of
doesn't
a
work.
shadow.
Barzoople.
Both Lisa and
Oh, the
Sarah
Big
were
Bang.
dressed
I
for the
heard a
warmth of
TV
autumn's
show
light,
like
not
that.
for the chill of the dark. But, as they walk through this frosty evening, I will inform you, dear reader, that cold isn't the substance, it is simply the absence of
Why
it.
explain
What
to
you
this?
claim is cold isn't the presence.
Oh, by the way, in
but
case
lack.
you didn't know, here's
In
some
much
fun
the same
trivia
way,
about
many
cold.
claim evil is simply
Cold
the
is just the
absence
absence
of
of
good.
heat, everyone.
Yet, from the preceding dialogue, you should now know a true absence of heat is also an illusion, an impossibility.
What?
Even the void of space still contains some heat, some energy. Thus, within existence, there will always be some warmth, some light.
By the way, guys, here's
Yet,
some
as
fun
darkness
facts,
can be
fun
described
science
as the
facts for you
absence
from
of
the
light,
narrator
so light
himself.
could be described as the absence of dark. Convention claims evil is the absence of good, but it is equally valid to say good is simply the absence of evil.
What?
Both descriptions explain the same physical thing, but from different
By
perspectives.
the way, we're gonna interrupt
Subtraction is the same
sexy
as adding a
science
negative.
shenanigans
Addition
with
is equivalent to subtracting a
fun
negative.
facts, because, you know,
Remember
symbolism.
this, dear reader, it will be important later when
In
we
case you're
speak of
retarded,
power.
dear reader,
You see, there can't be complete evil or complete good. Both light and dark, good and evil, heat and its absence, are preconditions of existence. Necessarily, there must be energy to move, and a void to move into. Yet, both must first contain some of the other as a prerequisite.
What?
Anything and everything must be varying shades of gray. Fitting, but not for the reason you think. Lisa's lab was at the top of the 3-story science building. At this late hour the building was essentially empty. It was the physics
Me
grad
neither,
school
Cabby.
department,
They were talking
just
about
like the
science, and I
universe,
was like, oh,
studied
by the
theory
way,
would never
reader,
be truly empty as that field draws on more
did you
obsessed
know
with
that
humanity. But
the
it was
cold is
relatively
actually
empty.
the absence of
Regardless,
heat, but heat
there
could
wasn't
just be
any
the
red tape,
absence of
for Lisa
cold?
to bring Sarah into her group's lab. Lisa was one of several people working on this project. She was the most dedicated to the project, if one of the least experienced. Yet, when it comes to projects such these, dedication is paramount. Lisa led Sarah, who was, at this point, wondering why she agreed to come through the maze of naked wires and raw circuitry that made up the lab.
Chekhov's
In the
gun,
far flung
please?
corner was the zero-point generator. It was a compact device, compared to the other haphazard and seemingly dissected instruments scattered on various workbenches throughout the lab. Well, Lisa knew it to be compact. To Sarah, it looked bulky, because she thought the various sensors hooked to it were really part of it.
By the way, Sarah's dumb in case you didn't remember.
Lisa went over to the generator and depressed the power button, which dutifully lit green in the low light of the lab. See? Said Lisa as she gestured to an array of readouts on the workbench beside the gadget. No? Replied Sarah. I see a green light, so I guess it's on, but none of those
You don't know
screens
the half
changed.
of it, Cabby. You do
Exactly,
not know the fucking
explained
quarter of it.
Lisa. Sarah was still surprised how much her humdrum friend's passion was ignited over this issue. But she guessed everyone had to care about something. She was more intrigued by the whole episode than she otherwise would be because of Lisa's typical responses. Sarah's passion was figuring out people, which was the real reason, and perhaps the only reason, Sarah liked the enigmatic
Well, I like
Lisa.
figuring out
Sarah
people, so that's why I
appreciated
like
the
this
challenge.
person. He's just a fucking
Yet,
mystery.
what you might not understand
What?
is in order to be socially adept first and foremost,
I
one
can
must be empathetic.
understand, like,
One
taking
must care
interest in
about
someone
other
because
people
they're
to
kind of
connect with
mysterious,
them.
but
Sarah
what?
genuinely
Oh, my
cares
interest
about
is
others.
figuring
Lisa
out who people
genuinely
really
cared about
are.
knowledge and the power she
I've
thought it
discovered, like,
brought.
a dozen
This,
pedophiles,
dear
2
reader,
dozen
is of utmost
rapists in the
importance
past
to the
year. It's been pretty
narrative.
interesting.
Sarah is truly empathetic. Lisa is not. So, in the spirit of better understanding her inscrutable companion, Sarah was resigned to follow this atypical tableau to its termination. Yet, all Sarah could think to say was, what?
What?
Lisa sighed again, as if about to
What?
explain something self-obviously
Yeah, that's
trivial.
my response,
Every
exactly.
simulation we run said this configuration will operate. The device is drawing power and is functioning within accepted parameters. It's running. I could have told you that. The green light is on. Sarah pointed flippantly. Lisa didn't seem to hear. But then we should be receiving energy through these diodes. Lisa pointed to 2 metal prongs, which had numerous banana clips attached to them. Yet, there isn't any measurable magnetic, gravitational, electric, nuclear, radiant, chemical, or thermal energy increase. What about kinetic or potential? Asked Sarah, trying to be helpful. Lisa just looked at her in complete disgust. Daunted by the unspoken chastisement, Sarah said timidly, "Bioelectric?" Lisa rolled her eyes. "I would explain why you're being stupid, dear Sarah, but it would take too long."
Wow, Lisa, you're a real
Defiant,
fucking
Sarah
asshole.
stated, "Well, Miss Smarty Pants, what kind of energy are you expecting?" Lisa again became the uncertain one. Well, you'd expect the temperature to increase by 2.76 Kelvin. But the theory is a little vague. On the classification of energy, it might even be some kind of undiscovered space-time potential, field, energy, or something. Sounds pretty useless then, Sarah said it, back in control of the conversation. Confidently, she seemed to ponder the conundrum. Have you tried touching them?
Oh wow, Sarah's a real dumbass
Said
then.
Lisa, also
This thing
that
is
in the
absorbing
customary
space-time
role.
energy. Have you ever tried poking
touching
it?
the diodes, or whatever Sarah
Let's
vaguely
just
gestured
touch
at
the
the
thing
metal
that is,
plugs
supposed to be
protruding from the
absorbing
0-point
fucking
generator.
space-time energy. That will
While it
fucking kill
sung,
you.
Lisa asked a little taken
Spoiler
aback.
alert, it turns them
Why
buff.
would you?
Because,
These
that's exactly what
instruments are orders
space-time
of
energy
magnitude
does.
more
Space-time
sensitive than
energy
the human
is known
nervous
to make you
system.
grow a food.
That's precisely why they were created.
I'll keep
Lisa
my mouth
cleaned her
shut.
silky glasses while she said this, as if to emphasize the point that human perception relied on augmentation.
Well,
So, no, Sarah said haughtily. Well, I will, then. And she leaned forward and reached out her hand. Lisa only shrugged. Sure, dear girl, it's not like anything. Her words were cut off by the ear pop and C-R-A-C-K. That reverberated through the lab as pink lightning coursed into Sarah's outstretched digits. Out of reflex more than pain, Sarah jerked her hand while stumbled backwards. In a complete stupor, the normally graceful Sarah caught her leg on an oscilloscope, cracking her fiery-haired head as she twisted and tumbled down to the floor of the
oh,
unkempt
see,
lab.
she fucking touched it and
Lisa
died. I
blinked
told
behind her
you.
ocular augmentations as she ogled her fascinated friend. All she could think to say was, I guess this lends credibility to the previously undiscovered classification of energy hypothesis, she murmured as she bent to help her grown peer. Do you require medical assistance? Lisa queried as Sarah rose. Recovering with unexpected speed, Sarah looked at her hapless friend. Did you really just say that? As a response, Lisa just blinked. Sighing, Sarah continued, No, I feel fine.
Oh, no,
Taking
she didn't
stock of
fucking die,
herself,
great.
it was her turn to blink in surprise. Better than fine, actually. What was
I just
that?
got zapped by space-time
Lisa
energy.
had
I
turned
just
off
feel
the
fine.
generator and began checking the myriad sensors hooked to the machine. Then, she started scrolling through the collected data. Sarah was flattered as well, as flabbergasted that Lisa's first response had been to check on her welding instead of the generator. She felt she had learned more about her oldest friend in the last few hours than she had in the previous decade. She was about to ask why Lisa had aimed to check on her first when Lisa spoke. Inconceivable. Sarah rolled her eyes. In a surprisingly melodious timbre, she stated, I think you've used your quote-unquote S. Then, Sarah stopped as she seemed to be analyzing her own utterance. Underwear as usual, Lisa filled the silence. You heard that crack, and
What?
saw the light as well. Right. There was a sharp, desperate quality to the question. Sarah was self-absorbed as she replied. The pink lightning? Yeah, of course I did. Sarah was inspecting her hand. Heck, I think I can still feel it in me. Like a ball of potential.
A ball
Why?
of potential.
Because
A ball of potential, because
there was no change to the equipment.
if you feel
If there
full
was
of
any
energy,
flux
you're like,
of
oh, it
energy
feels like
or
I've got a
even
ball of
increase in
potential in me.
illumination, some of these sensors would have detected it. But they didn't. Well, you said it was likely undetectable or whatever. Except our eyes. Our eyes seem to have detected the same phenomenon. I would say it was a delusion, but I would describe what I saw as pink lightning as well, and Sarah interrupted. Well, maybe I asked bioelectricity. Lisa was about to roll her eyes again when Sarah continued in a slightly different tone of voice, except bioelectricity is no different from other electromagnetic fields when it comes to detection. It's only a classification for. Her voice regained its
Oh,
normal
by the way,
aspect
I'm smart
for,
now because cosmic fucking energy.
I don't know
You know,
this.
why how about we just start using cosmic
do I
fucking energy as an
KNOW
explanation
this?
for everything?
From behind their protective glass, Lisa's depthless blue eyes
Oh
stared in awe
boy,
at Sarah,
we're getting
whose
to the
sparkling
spooky
green eyes
text. This
looked
is
back.
when everything really goes
Sarah
to shit.
broke the pregnant pause. Let's go home. I'm tired, she lied. The whites of her eyes seemed to glow pink in the lab's low light. Despite not being tired, Sarah did sleep. And in sleep, she dreamed. Sarah beheld a being of incalculable magnitude and beauty. The astronomical creature's body, predominantly female, was so perfect it was near agony
It's
to
so
gaze upon it.
perfect, it would hurt
An
to look
exaggerated
at.
hourglass silhouette, solar flaring hips below a magnetic curvature waist below
A
the
magnetic
lactic
curvature
shoulders.
waist below what?
Astronomical in size, its limbs were subject to parallax. Akin to a burning star, its glassy skin radiated with a pale pink light. Breasts like inescapable magnetars rose
What?
above abs that were a landscape
Abs?
of pale
Oh yes,
pink
that's right.
pulsars.
This is a buff
A
story.
mane made of celestial light hallowed a face, swathed in shadow. Eyes hidden in nebulous darkness. Only a predatory toothy grin, framed by
Here it
superlative
comes!
lips, could be seen on the celestial visage. The final unignorable aspect to the divinity before Sarah was the quasar of the cock, continually spewing energy into the void.
You know, we just
An
can't have giant buff
astronomical
woman
lighthouse
be
in
like,
constant
I don't know, look
climax,
absolutely
an entire
perfect.
beacon
You know what
before this
perfection
cosmic
needs?
being.
A giant
This being of
fucking
incalculable
quack.
potential resonated with a sound that was more than sound. This is the first moment we are connected, dear Sarah. The first time you can be before me, even in dream, without being obliterated. There was a mocking smirk, tinkling so dark they were almost black, rimmed a luminescent sneer. But all moments are mine as they will be yours. The smirk turned into a sharp grin. Will be. Oh, I had forgotten the amusement of tenses.
You heard, like,
Laughter filled the void of the
okay,
dream,
could we just...
welling up from every crevice in the
We'll fucking get a
impossible
repeat
space.
of that line when you
Sarah
finish
tried
this
to cover
chapter.
her ears. She felt as if she might waken as she struggled to escape the sound. The lever stopped, and the being waved her galactic digits. No, no, you can't leave yet. This first moment needs to stretch into eternity and back again. Sarah felt herself sink deeper into the dream. As she did, her fear
How about you
was
just, like,
replaced
fucking
with awe
kill
and wonder
yourself in your
from the
dream? That's a pretty
presence
good
of
way
the
to get out of a
sacrosanct
dream.
brilliance. The pulsating pink goddess before her awakening a higher level of blessed bliss.
What?
The creature
Was
licked
that
its
talking...
successively iridescent lips
Oh, I
with
thought
an
it was, like, saying the
unreasonably
pulsing
sized
pink
tongue.
cock head. Okay,
Oh,
wait.
such innocence, such fleeting innocence. Sadly, dear girl,
It
all
gets
isn't the
much
emotion
worse.
that drives this narrative.
It gets much fucking worse
Something
than
else
just, you
is
know...
needed. The pink
Oh,
radiance
boy.
the being emitted changed it momentarily flesh and blue before settling to a steady green. As the creature's aura changed to green, Sarah felt her awe of the majesty before her transform into envy. She coveted what this being had, from its physical dominance to its monolithic member. Yes, that's what we need. Basking in your adoration, we'll have to wait for later. Oh, there I go again, with the tenses. A giggle filled the non-Euclidean space. Regardless, dear girl, savor that emotion. Now, let's have fun. The creature's extensive tongue snaked out of its cavernous mouth and wrapped Sarah
I also
in
have a
tight,
snake tongue.
lust-filled embrace.
Because fuck
Dragging
you.
her to the tip of the spewing, stellar slug, seemingly the
The
size of
spewing
the solar
stellar
system.
slug!
Hurry, the jagged grinning was jubilantly
Okay.
declared, you'll forget this timeless debauchery on waking.
Okay,
But
okay.
remember,
Oh,
dear Sarah,
wait!
remember the
It's Super
envy.
Mario Bros.
And
here!
Sarah did.
Whoa! Wait, no! Wait. Did... Or that, it has to be a fucking fake. It has to be. No. Is that really... I can't, because it won't, because the new YouTube chat won't let me fucking view the channel. Here. Let me test something fucking out. Wait, is that the actual Super Weebros, or is that an imposter? Because if that is the actual Super Weebros, I'm gonna be absolutely fucking stunned. Okay, first of all, I realized I forgot to send out Twitter notifications, so first of all, I will do that. Wait, no, what the? Here, wait, I'm sorry, I gotta check this out for myself. Holy fuck, it is the one and only Super Weebros. Oh, wait. Holy fuck! Out of all the moments for someone to come and watch me, why? And actually, kind of getting back from the Vine Sauce edits, perhaps the biggest reason why I really don't do too much of them nowadays is because, well, I don't know. Mostly because the Full Sauce channel's really gotten super popular now, and the Vine Sauce team has already got a few edits. But yeah. I'm sorry, I thought you were a fake or something, but holy fuck, nice to see you here, man. But yeah, can we just have a quick few instant replays? Starting off, we got the first, the final unignorable aspect to the divinity before Sarah was the quasar of a cock, continually spewing energy into the void. An astronomical lighthouse in constant climax, an imperial beacon before this cosmic being. Second of all, dragging her to the tip of the spewing stellar schlong. Spewing stellar schlong. Oh, fucking beautiful. Yeah, one of the reasons why I kind of like stopped doing the long edits was mostly because the Full Sauce channel was just getting like super popular. Lack of time to work on them because I was really school crap was really starting to ramp up, and again focus on my own streams as well. Yeah, for the most part, and plus Vine Sauce team already has their own good team of editors. Well, starting to get a team of editors, but now it's just they're really starting to slow down with their upload rate. Maybe someday I'll probably do them again, but I don't know. Likely not. I haven't really I actually really now that you think about it, yeah. But anyways, I'm getting chapter 2 ready to go. That's just fucking amazing. Here we go. And by the way, it gets really fucking worse. It gets so much fucking goddamn worse, somehow. Somehow it's like, okay, you know, you already have stellar schlongs or whatever. How can we make it worse than just a stellar schlong? I've already read this entire thing over the summer and decided, you know what, it's about time I finally do a Bonzi Reads of this. So I just had to close that to do the copy-pasting and whatnot without spoiling. Moving on, we have fucking chapter 2. Oh boy, let's get going, Bonzi boy.
At this late hour of the evening, in a cold sweat, Sarah half awoke from the fleeting dream of unbounded lust. All she could truly remember was her desire, her need, and most of all her envy. Her green eyes, cracked with a light from the recent ordeal in the lab. She could still feel the ball of potential within her, waiting.
The ball of
Not fully
potential,
conscious
yes,
of what
you know.
she was doing, Sarah focused on it. She willed it to give her a barest fraction, what she craved, what she coveted. Sarah felt the pink energy break out and cascade through her being. Enveloped in its warmth, she willed herself to become something more. In the dark of night, the bright pink lightning glanced through her green eyes and flowed over her body, augmenting and enhancing it.
Oh yeah, because you know, when you wake up with a pink ball of potential, you think, you know what,
her muscles strengthened,
let me
her mind
make
expanded,
myself
her
fucking
clitoris
buff.
lengthened.
Oh yes,
Sarah
that's also
was
very
enraptured
lovely
with
to
a
know as
feeling of
well.
growing euphoria. She instinctually knew what parts of herself she valued. Her own preferences guiding the change. Her body became more athletic and toned.
Okay,
Her
so guys, if
already
you
long
think you have
legs
a pink
lengthened.
ball of potential
Her
inside you,
vigorous
just think,
muscle
I
fibers
want to get
multiplied and
buff,
entwined as she
because that's what
became
comic
supremely
energy
strong,
does.
supple, and slim. Yet, her breasts lost none of their substance and only grew, in reality, on her expanding frame.
Gosh,
The
big
tan of her
breasts
skin
and muscles.
deepened and began to radiate a warm allure as all the best parts of her, the parts she had cared about and cultivated throughout her life, magnified. Subtle transformations.
Oh yeah, there are
come to
so
be
many.
blatant.
There's actually a
Sarah
surprising
wasn't
rise
even
in
fully
buff
aware of the
grandma
extent
stories.
She cherished her social charisma, but all unconscious
Like,
yearnings were
what the
realized in
fuck?
this
Why do people
fortune.
like buff
Her vocal
grandmas?
cords underwent a sophisticated alteration. The potential of her voice to be both melodious and commanding expanded exponentially.
Expanded
Her posture was already superb.
I'm sorry.
But now she
I'm sorry. Whenever you say
unconsciously
expand in
adopted
a
the perfect
story
body
involving a
language for each
cosmic,
social situation,
cosmic
her
cock.
personal allure, going from suggestive to unequivocally manipulative. Her empathetic awareness expanded. Nevertheless, euphoria changed to panic as dreamy ignorance became wakeful realization.
I mean,
In alarm,
when you
Sarah
use the word
stumbled out of a bed,
expand,
rapidly
like, okay,
becoming too
Super
small
Wee
for her
Bros,
majesty.
there
Her
is an
dreaded lady fell to the
untouched
floor as she rose from the
deviant.
sweaty
Once you
chaos of
really
her
start to
sheets,
dig
her flowing
below the
red hair
surface of
following her
fucking
ascent like a
DeviantArt,
phoenix's flame.
you reach
Now well over
like a
6
new
feet
fucking
tall,
level
a
of hell,
bewildered Sarah
like a new
took
layer of
stock
hell that's
herself.
just
The
unseen
sparking of
before.
the green electricity
fucking amazing.
subsided as she flexed her enhanced fingers. Clenching them into a fist, the muscles of her reinforced arm tightening, she could feel the untampered strength and restrained violence they contained. Power. Every reader has a different definition of that word, power.
Oh, by the way,
Sarah,
reader,
as
every
always,
human dear
infected
reader has a
others
different definition of the
positively on her
word.
physical presence. She was getting her master's in education, but this was always her unvoiced passion. Thus, we can hardly blame her if her first reaction after her bewilderment had reverted to joy was to reach for her cell phone to call her boyfriend, Brad. Her warm green eyes glowed with aroused lust. In the darkness of the bedroom, the emerging knowledge of her new capacity swimming behind those emerald pools. The phone was picked up after the third ring. What?
Yeah,
Was
after the
Brett
third ring,
unmagnanimous
because, you know, we
leading
gotta
to
have
this late
details
night
like that in
booty
their
call?
fucking story.
It's Sarah. The siren call of Sarah's voice was transmitted through the ear.
The
On
eighth
the
what?
other end, Brett blinked, stunned by the beguiling sound. What? Whatever he was about to say was cut off as Sarah gave a yelp of surprise. She had continued exploring her body as she phoned and had just grasped her new 6-inch long clitoris, fat as a thick sausage and engorged with
What?
its nerve endings, sparked with sensitivity. His
Yeah,
sleepy
sausage
disorientation
should not be
wearing
used
off,
as a
Brett
comparative
went
word
into
for
his
clit, I'm
default
sorry.
mode, chivalrous. Starting out of bed, from his damsel's cry, he asked, "You alright, babe?" Still grasping her sensitive pseudocock shaft, Sarah recovered, but
Pseudocock
nevertheless
shaft?
was shaken by her current discovery. Not wishing to drag the interaction out, she simply stated, "I need you. Come over." The command was undeniable, not that a college-aged male needed much extra incentive to make a conjugal visit to his girlfriend. "Yes, of course," was the dazed response Sarah heard as she hung up.
I actually haven't read chapter 2. Haven't read chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3, and chapter 1 and chapter 2. I read chapter 3, 4, and 5.
She could feel her own excitement feeding it. part of her understood that her own desires had fueled her transformation, which was one of the reasons she found this
I want a
like
pseudo-cock.
a
That is my
surprise.
ultimate desire.
Sarah hadn't known she harbored
Sarah,
penis envy.
2016.
As she waited for Brad, Sarah threw on the largest clothes she owned, a once baggy t-shirt and loose-fitting sweats that now fitted her new immensity. So tired, and after devouring a large bowl of sugary cereal, Sarah decided to check on Lisa. She cracked the door to her roommate's room and saw Lisa's frail form fitfully sleeping. On impulse, the statuesque Sarah entered and sat lightly next to her best friend. Dreamily, Lisa's nightmarish sleep was broken by the disturbance. At seeing her once lover, perfected and looming over her, Lisa's fathomless royal azure eyes opened wide. Those deathless blue orbs naked without the protection of glass. Sarah looked at the dark wall of her roommate's room reflecting on the night's events. The two sat in silence. Lisa seemed assured this was a dream she didn't want to wake from. Sarah didn't know how long she paused as an odd Lisa looked up at her, but soon Brad would arrive. Sarah looked down at her friend. Careful not to meet Lisa's empty eyes, which Sarah noticed for the first time, seemed to glow slightly. She slowly pushed Lisa back onto the bed. Her hand on Lisa's chest, the newly enhanced woman, caused the others' breathing to become relaxed, forcing calm and rest into the smaller girl's frame, willing her to sleep. I feel, dear reader, it is important at this juncture to emphasize
Stop
that none of
interrupting me,
Sarah's
narrator, you're an
abilities were
asshole.
non-physical, simply empathetic.
A bunch of people just
While
like,
her
I'm
transformation
pretty sure
itself
the
bordered on the
original intended
supernatural,
audience
her
for the
calming
story
Elisa
just came into
commanding of
wing.
Brad
Stop
were
interrupting,
simply
reader. You're getting in
appeals
the
to
middle of the
evolutionary
action.
subprograms all you mortals have.
We want to see you
Sarah
use a
calmed herself
pseudo-cock
and
to
extended
fuck her
that comment
ass.
to Lisa, using primal body language and touch to appeal to shared base instincts.
What?
The message was, everything is safe, the predators are far away, you can rest. A knock.
I use primordial body language.
Sarah whispered, sleep into her rear end, as Lisa's lips grew heavy, left to greet Brad. She turned around at the door to her roommate's room and was pleased to see that her new talents had passed this test. Lisa was deeply asleep. It was possibly the most restful slumber of her persecuted existence. Exiting the lair of the slumbering basilisk, Sarah wasted no time in answering the knock.
Oh,
She
good
flung
kid, how
open the
late
door,
were you?
And before Brad could register what
Hey, this
she'd
is the biggest
become,
fucking
she kissed the
misconception.
muscle-bound boy.
Good
Sarah was
writing
now
isn't
taller than
what
Brad,
words
so
you
he immediately
choose.
knew
It isn't
something
all
was
about
different.
word choice. It's
But
about
the
the
passion and
intent.
power Sarah delivered with her lips.
And this
overwhelmed him
intent
and
will
made
get
his thoughts
fucking
foggy.
insane later
Sarah's
on.
overtly
I will
tongue
make you regret
explored her
those
lover's
words,
mouth,
good
and
kid.
blood fled from both
You
their
will
heads
fucking
to
eat
engorge
those
their erotic
words.
parts. Sarah's overstimulated nipples hardened, as did her extended clit. Brad's sizable member sprang to attention, heeding the most basic of calls. Still lip locked, Sarah pulled her muscular boyfriend deeper into the apartment, ripping his clothing off as she did. This violent action was enough to briefly break the siren spell she was casting. Brad broke the embrace long enough to look down at his favorite jersey, now destroyed.
Oh shit, you destroyed
In
my
anger,
favorite
the jock
clothes!
exclaimed, what the fuck? Pulling
I'm
on
now
his
immune
ragged
to your
shirt.
pussy spill.
Then he slowly took in Sarah's enchanted being. In wide-eyed awe, the jock whispered, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Without explanation, the towering Sarah forced Brad to resume their kiss and continued maneuvering into her bedroom. As her tongue snaked down his throat, her dexterous digits dropped down and wrapped themselves around his throbbing harden.
Oh yes,
Sarah was
yes,
a
we
giving
gotta have a
lover,
sex
and she
scene, 'cause,
decided
you know.
to see how quickly she could give her stud an orgasm. Answering immediately wouldn't have been an exaggeration. As Brad grunted unintelligibly, Sarah milked his spasming member for everything it was worth.
Spasming member? What?
You
You know, have you ever seen like a porno where a guy's just doing a BJ, then his member just started like
Sarah gave her
spazzing the
stream
fuck
lover a
out?
reprieve by performing a
imagine that,
mythical
like,
strip
you-
show worthy of any
Imagine if,
Greek
like, I don't know, whenever
demigoddess.
you got, like,
Her
really
once baggy,
aroused,
now
like,
too
your
tight
dick would just, like,
t-shirt
start
came off as her
flailing around
unusually light body
uncontrollably.
gyrated,
You have to,
gravity
like,
defying
literally
breast
strap
looming
it
large
down if you
over
wanna give
Brad's
him the
collapsed
beach.
form. Perfect hits writhed in a lustful pattern that would have a hula dancer blushing. Sarah removed her top sweats. Her rocking round room monopolized
Rocking
Brad's
round
view, hiding her
room.
hard hot heart of clit. This
Her
lewd
hard
display
hot-
would have cost her sweet modesty.
Woo!
Sarah's
This writing!
however, had no trouble rebounding in the worst of conditions, and Brad became erect in record time. Sarah drew his eyes with her hypnotically swaying breasts as she mounted and took him into her. She could feel him yearning to climax again, but she used her new vice-like vaginal muscles to clamp down on his shaft. The pressure in his rod wouldn't be released until she willed it. His excitement had no repose as his pleasure mounted to dizzying new heights. Brad wasn't selfish and had normally stimulated Sarah's erotic zones, but the mounting ecstasy was driving rational thoughts from his head faster than they could form. It was all
This
he
is
could do to
only
hang on to
great because of
consciousness
how
as this
horrible
angelic
it's written
version of his
until we
lover
reach,
had away with him.
the
Stroking her
next
own
layer of
chest,
hell.
Sarah
Every
looked down at her
chapter
nearly
enters a new
senseless
layer of
partner,
hell.
trying desperately to slake her own inhuman lust. Sarah felt Brad's arousal intensify beyond tolerance as she strove to reach the level of sensation she envied. But she knew Brad could not bring her there. She briefly contemplated flipping his overtaxed body over and pegging him,
Wait,
but
what?
missed it. She knew
I'm
it would
sorry,
prove
why
futile
would you think
regardless.
that? Okay, because, you know,
Instead, just as she
that is
felt his
essential to the
unbearable pleasure
story.
was about to change to
Her thinking
excruciating
about
pain, she
pegging
with a
him, you know, that
heartfelt
is super
sigh
fucking
released her
essential to the
slip-step
story.
grip on his burning pole. Brad cried to the heavens as he came and came, Sarah's hits extorting the eruption further. It was as if Brad tried to pour his very being into Sarah, his
What?
balls, giving her all they had ever held.
His
Sarah
balls
pumped,
giving him all they
extracting what
have ever
sensation
held.
she could in these last moments. She let the crescendo continue until she worried Brad might come blood. Only then did she stop.
What?
The ordeal
Okay,
over,
wow.
Brad
Okay,
experienced
Sarah
what
really
the
is a
teeth worked,
fucking
a
shit.
little death, falling into complete unconsciousness. Sarah looked down at the spent alpha male she had just chewed like a wad of tissue paper. She had enjoyed herself, to be sure, but deep in her heart she longed for more. A less scrupulous individual might have looked for new conquests, or simply had their way with her half-dead lover. But Sarah is a girl with principles.
What?
Something you, dear reader, should be very, very thankful for. You should be falling to your worthless knees in abject.
Yeah, guys, you should be falling to the woman with a hot
Well,
dog. What?
Time enough to go into that when you are better informed.
You should be worshipping her. She's supposed to be
Let us say
perfection,
instead,
reader.
Sarah finished herself off next to the slumbering form of
You
her
know,
man.
never in a fucking
What
million
she did
years.
to
I don't
herself
care how
was
much
more
fucking
than any mortal would have been
cosmic
able to
energy you
endure,
suck.
and while she did finish, she still felt cheated. As if there was a higher sensation
an
she
idea.
wanted, but could not reach. With another heartfelt sigh, she
There we
slept
go.
herself.
This fits much better.
Sarah didn't remember her dreams during this slumber either, but she woke feeling that her sensual itch had been scratched. Brad was still sleeping as Sarah
Welcome
went
back.
to get breakfast. She felt a little odd standing there, in the pale morning light of the cold kitchen, a virtual demigoddess in an ill-fitting t-shirt and sweats pouring herself a bowl of surgery cereal. Perched upon a now too small stool and munching on the colorful green, Sarah turned to see a bespectacled
Windtaker,
Lisa,
it gets
stupefied
far
staring at
worse.
her.
It gets
More
so
than
much
me,
far
the statuesque
worse.
Sarah said casually as she walked to her customary seat, which was now more than a little small for her. Sarah made sure not to crush her stool as she sat. Lisa's jaw uncomically open as Sarah ate her cereal. "You were letting the flies in," Sarah said. "Nothing to say to your roomie?" A whispered inconceivable was all Lisa managed. "You keep using that word," Sarah said. "I don't think it means what you..."
worse. It gets so
Well,
much amazingly worse.
Actually, it does mean what you think
I'm
it
pretty sure
means.
King Steve already knows
From
about.
the bedroom, Brad could be heard rousing himself.
Sorry, Wind
"Anyone
Talker.
get the license plate of the truck that ran over my dick?"
What?
He bellowed good-naturedly. He emerged from the bedroom swaggering, holding his shredded clothing against his short body. Despite his initial confident demeanor, he was slightly bent over. His groin was clearly still stinging from last night.
Oh.
As he lifted his eyes to see the cereal-eating Amazon, he began to speak. "There she..." His arrogance fled in the face of the fiery-haired demigoddess that had once been his pretty girlfriend. As the magnitude of what he was witnessing fully took hold, his haughty expression vanished. He choked out, then joined Lisa in stunned silence. Sarah looked at her fawning friends as she munched. Other than the crunching from of her radiant teeth, the quiet was complete. Finally she said, "Knock it off, you two. It's me, Sarah, remember?" "Sarah Saber?" "Is it?" Brad asked, bewildered. It wasn't so much Sarah's
I don't
unearthly
remember who
presence
ran over
that
your
had
dick
Lisa
last
and
night. I know you
Brad
like
spellbound.
that,
It was the shock
Brad.
of seeing something so well-known transformed
I got my
into this
trucks
Brad
ready
of a
for you the
woman.
next
It was as if you
round.
woke one morning to find your house cat changed into a tiger, or your small dog transformed into a dire wolf. Even just sitting there, Sarah's body spoke of a higher kind of predator, one step up
What?
the proverbial food chain. Brad and Lisa didn't know how to act around this dangerous creature that still looks so much like their dearest friend. "Yes, it is," Sarah signed. "Stop staring. You're creeping me out."
It's not like I just
Then with
turned
a pair
buff
of skills of
overnight.
command
Why are you
as she
staring at
continued,
me?
"Close your
She
mouths
got
and act normal,
rude.
you two. Don't treat me special. It's me, Sarah Saber. Act accordingly." The two blinked as if coming out of a dream. With this assurance, a little normality returned. As if your house cat, now tiger, had rubbed her leg and indicated it wanted breakfast.
That wasn't a
just
dream.
as it
She
did every
actually
morning.
fucking
They
turned buff
understood
and
this was their
grew a
one-time
6-inch
friend and they
dick.
shouldn't be afraid.
The dream was
How
about
naive
her
mortals
dreaming
are,
of
dear
a
reader.
god who
How
apparently is a
thoughtlessly you fall
Buddha.
back to root, willfully ignorant of how closely you skirt calamity. Brad, recovering first, said, "Well, we had fun last night." "You certainly did," Sarah gaped, relieved to see Brad returning at least a little to normal. Brad, oblivious to the jab, continued, "What the hell happened, anyway? What's going on? Why are you? HOW are you?" Words failing, he gesticulated at Sarah's expanded form.
Hell,
Lisa
Soundbuster.
had remained silent, but now spoke.
Tornado
She
one.
doesn't know. The revelation just occurring to her. Becoming
you want
himself
some,
once again,
hell,
Brad
that's why,
noticed the
sweetie.
mousy blonde for the first time. "Oh, hey Lisa. I hope we didn't keep you up late last night. He winked at Sarah, who despite still sensing the lingering tension found herself fondly rolling her emerald eyes at the quip. Lisa, oblivious to the jest, responded matter-of-factly, "No, I slept well." Then on contemplation of last night's rest continued, "That's odd. Well, I'm surprised you could sleep at all, what with all the noise. It felt like we were at it for hours. You'd say hours, right, babe?" Sarah could see that self-confident mess was back on. Sarah felt like she was seeing her boyfriend for the first time. Her newly enhanced empathy
by the way,
let her discern every flaw in his
cosmic
shock
energy
caricature.
equals,
Now,
just
with her
you
new
become God with
supremely
cosmic energy,
empathetic
'cause fuck you,
perspective,
that's...
she could see how much
You know,
more of
using
his
a point,
demeanor
zero
was
point
just
generator,
puffery. He was
save lives,
insecure,
cure
but she
cancer,
could also
no,
sense
just
he was
friends who fucking
sincerely a
buff.
nice guy. That at least wasn't an act, more's the pity, dear reader. But this new insight into his discomfort was making her uncomfortable. 7 minutes and 34 seconds, she said absent-mindedly. "What?" Brad asked, his dark and brown eyes the only hint at his uncertainty. "I think she was answering your question," Lisa stated. She was now studying her expanded friend as she might examine
Her
a lab
expanded
experiment.
friend!
Sarah's focus switched from her relatively new lover to her oldest
Oh,
companion. Yes, she
man!
also
What
seemed to
part are
see
you
the
talking
nerdy
about that's
Lisa for the first
expanded?
time. The disregard of health and
Fucking
appearance
memes are
in
making this
favor
so
of the
much
obsessive
better.
pursuit of knowledge, things Sarah already knew, were there plain as day. But now Sarah could see deeper into her best friend than she ever had before. The logical bleed was simply the surface of the diminutive blonde. Although that external thought aid Sarah was seeing something she would never before have attributed to Lisa, roiling rage. There was
Roiling
emotions
rage.
furiously boiling below the surface of her enigmatic friend. Lisa might act robotic,
Oh, you
but
know,
she
she was
human
like
and subject
outcast
to all
for her
that
entire
entailed.
life.
This was the repressed
Everybody
intensity
abandoned her,
Lisa
but you
had
know,
learned to hide from
how could
others,
she
the
ever
deep
be
rooted anger at the
angry?
entire world. Sarah's warm emerald eyes gazed at her constrained roommate and she was undeniably disturbed at what she saw. The underlying animosity towards the world was only part of what Lisa was hiding. The slight narrowing of the eyes, though it turned in a small pout. "Jealousy?" Sarah exclaimed, more surprised than anything else. "What?" Lisa asked, taken aback both by the sudden question and the intensity of Sarah's stare. Unthinkingly, Sarah incredulously stated, "You're jealous of me." At the blunt truth, in the direct statement, for the first time in a very long time, Lisa's bounded hate truly broke free. Like a dam exploding, uncontrolled anger flooded the pale girl's face. Rage echoed in every word as she spoke.
Rage!
"Jealous?"
Thank you, Robot Boss, for the announcement.
"You need to ask, dear Sarah." She spat the words through clenched teeth, gesturing with all hands. "Yes, I'm jealous. I've always been jealous. How could I not be? And now, look at you. Always?" Sarah asked flabbergasted. In the face of this unexpected outbreak from her petite companion, she felt foolish for the first time since her transformation.
Once we hit Chapter 3, that's when
"I can see
everything
you
goes to
girls
shit.
have a lot to
Then
talk
Chapter
about."
4, everything
Brett
goes
said,
even more
quickly
to shit.
stumbling
Then
towards
Chapter
the
5,
exit,
just as Rose
comically
enters
clutching his
Detention
destroyed
Central.
pants. The girls ignored him, their attention on one another.
Chapter
"Well,
5
I'll see you
literally
later,
goes
Sarah,"
full
the
pretentious.
jock said hastily as he closed the door.
It still
"Call
has the
me,
fetish
babe."
material, but the
A
writer
relieved
just is so
sigh
fucking
could be
full of
heard in
himself
the
thinking
hallway
he's
as the
writing a
door
piece
shut
of art
behind the
that just,
fleeing
oh
figure.
boy.
Sarah was in unfamiliar waters. Her new knowledge of her cold friend was conflicting with what she thought she had already worked out, her new understanding clashing with formerly unshakable truths. Seeing her closest friend laid bare before her was unnerving. She had never guessed at this dark side of her Vulcan-like compatriot. Sarah knew she shouldn't ask. But who she had been before the transformation had to ask. So, she did it. Why would you be jealous? Sarah might have become ascended, but she was still Sarah Saber, and the mortal before her was still Lisa Basilisk, her closest friend.
Lisa Basilisk. Oh, I wonder if with a name like Basilisk, you think nobody... There's a reason why nobody was friends with Lisa.
"You don't need me to tell you, dear Sarah. You know. You've always known." The ginger demigoddess answered the accusation. "I know now, but I didn't before. How could I have known before? You don't care about appearance. You don't care about what others think. I know that." Knew that. Still shaking, Lisa purposely reached up and removed her glasses. Her exposed azure eyes looked defiantly at the being before her, like the moral Arakan challenging the goddess Athena. "Look me in the eyes and say that," Lisa whispered. Sarah decided to test her new abilities in this unconquered arena. She stared back into those twin cobalt abysses Lisa Basilisk called eyes. Radiant Sarah found herself falling into those depthless dark pits as always, but for the first time she wasn't lost in the ultramarine void. The inky fathoms of Basilisk's empty eyes seemed, for the first time, familiar. Sarah still felt unsettled, but she remained in control. Into that vacuous blue emptiness Sarah spoke the words I never knew. And, like a raccoon, Lisa lost. Speechless, her mouth opened and closed as all the unbound anger drained from Lisa's pale face to be replaced with shock. Then Lisa's fathomless ocular sapphires turned and fled from Sarah's scintillating emerald eyes.
Oh boy, fucking chapter 3. Let's see, what does chapter 4? Yeah, chapter 5 is the last. Chapter 3 is, I think, when we really start to get into the hell. Let's see. Oh, chapter 3 is a long one. Chapter 3 is a really fucking long one. Oh, that's why. That's because chapter 3 begins the first step into hell. Chapter 3 is a really fucking long one. Holy shit, how many words is this chapter alone? Lisa ran away crying because she was a bitch. He was like, oh no, my eyes didn't work. Alright. Oh. Chapter 2. Okay, chapter 3. This is really fucking long, so grab your snacks, boys.
Sarah decided to walk into town on this cold morning. The only clothes that fit her were stretched-out sweats and a once-oversized sweater. While the fiery-haired demagogues made those drab dressings look like an impressive apparel, she also thought buying some new clothing was in order. The streets were practically empty, as one would expect on an early Saturday morning in a college town, but there was enough street traffic for Sarah to test her fresh capabilities. She had always been confident, but now she was dominant. At first Sarah let her new instincts control how she presented herself. She swayed suggestively as she walked, effortlessly becoming sex in motion.
Oh, she's
Sarah
sex
was
in
no
motion,
stranger to
guys. That's
attention,
what a hot
but the
dog
looks she
clip
now got
means.
were different. Catcalls and whistles happened at a distance, but when she drew closer they subsided into stunned silence. Sarah was enjoying herself as her body moved like liquid lust down the street. At least she was enjoying herself until a car careened off the road and almost hit two pedestrians.
Oh, you know.
After checking that there weren't any major injuries, none of the participants
She's now a
seemed
public
to know
fucking hazard
what had
because she's
happened.
so
Sarah
hot,
ducked into
apparently.
a local breakfast restaurant, past a dazed waiter, and into the ladies' room. There she took full stock of her enhanced self in the mirror. As she gazed into her own sparkling emerald eyes, Sarah realized it wasn't her unearthly beauty that was the real issue. It was the way that beauty was being presented. Sarah, as you know, dear reader, had been well versed in such things before her transformation, and the pink potential had further augmented this understanding. Sarah knew that, as easily as she could make herself appear sexier, she could make herself appear less so. She set about doing just that. Her posture was the biggest change. She unstraightened her shoulders and unswaggered her hips. Other differences in presentation
Oh, she was like
occurred. The biggest worry was
Oh,
that
I
in
just
trying
realized,
to make herself
oh, if
seem
I
less
walk
sensual,
with a
she could make
swagger, I'll
herself more.
get catcalled like an
Confidence is a turn
asshole.
on to some, but desperation is to others. Thus, Sarah shot for the most unappealing of all, boring. In her ascended form she could never be considered mundane. But, with effort, she was able to get closer to the normal side of gorgeous instead of the supernatural side of sumptuous. So to get to it, she quickly left the restaurant and continued on her way to buy some new clothing. After this bathroom break, there were no further incidents, unless you call having to beg the clothier to only give her an employee discount, instead of for free, as they originally wanted, an incident she bought, clothing that would either upplay or downplay her recently received brutality. Sarah slumped back to campus as inconspicuously as she could in her newly acquired baggy sweats and great pullover hoodie. Back in the cold air, Sarah wanted to blow off some steam, but kept her head down instead. She knew she could walk around stopping traffic, but didn't. Being unobtrusive wasn't how she normally conducted herself, but it seemed the prudent course at this juncture. Being a goddess isn't all the brochure promised, she joked to herself. She entered the apartment with her purchases and changed into something more revealing. So tired, Sarah went to grab a candy bar from the kitchen when she spied a yellow sticky note on the fridge. In Lisa's typewriter-like handwriting, Sarah come to the lab. was all it read.
Who has typewriter
Sarah
like
thought a second as she
handwriting?
chewed the surgery confection. Finally, she shrugged and pulled her hoodie back on.
The surgery?
As calm down,
The
she muttered as she
surgery
left.
confection? It should be
Since
sugary.
Lisa had picked the location when they were
Surgery
choosing apartments,
confection?
it was a very short walk to the physics department. There were no major roads on the way, and Sarah decided to take full advantage of her new assets on her quick jaunt to the lab. Talking off her hoodie, her upper body was on full display. Blimp-like breasts were barely contained in a cut-off t-shirt. The word goddess, in green sequins, stretched almost to illegibility by their immensity.
Blimp-like
These
what the fuck
epitomes
is
of
thought
woman
about
that
that?
hovered above her waspish waist and perfectly cut abs. A quick adjustment in her baggy sweats became form-fitting yoga pants, perfectly accentuating her flawless athletic butt and elongated elegant legs. Needless to say, the ascended grad left many engaged students of both sexes in her wake as she approached her destination. It was still fairly early on a Saturday, so as before the building was mostly empty. Notwithstanding, Sarah made her sweats baggy again and once again donned her pullover hoodie as she entered. She didn't want to give any stuffy nerds a heart attack. Sarah had no trouble getting to the deserted lab. She found Lisa going over the data from the night before. The green light of the 0-point generator was on. Sarah noted the setup now made more sense to her. Lisa spoke but didn't turn around as she entered the lab. The hallmark of good science is reproduction of results. Okay, said the enlarged Sarah as she stepped next to her friend. As Sarah towered over Lisa, she looked at the screen. Sarah hoped she might be able to notice some obvious flaw she could point out to create a comical moment, like an uncarried numerical digit. But her new understanding simply told her Lisa was doing everything with meticulous correctness. "You're no fun," Sarah said as she watched Lisa's math precision. "That's a given," Lisa said without humor, as if she knew to what Sarah referred. "Regardless, I need you to touch the diodes again."
Kill yourself!
"What?" exclaimed Sarah. Lisa explained to the demigoddess as if she was a small child. "Science is only science. If it's repeatable, we need to rerun the experiment from last night. This time I will monitor the sensors more closely."
This is probably just an
"We had the first
assassination
fight we've
attempt.
had since." Sarah paused, unwilling to dredge up a mention of their quick romance and quicker breakup. "Since forever, because of what happened last night. And now you want me to repeat it?" For the first time since Sarah entered the lab, the bespectacled Lisa turned and looked at her longtime friend. "Our altercation wasn't over last night." "It wasn't an altercation, but whatever. I don't know what will happen if I touch it again." "That's what makes it an experiment, dear Sarah," Lisa retorted. Sarah's ire was raised. "Don't you dear Sarah me," she
I see a
exclaimed.
super wee bros.
"Maybe I should start using that phrase. See how you like it if I deared everyone. Why don't you
We don't
touch your
like the
gizmo
word dear.
instead?
Stop
It might do you some good, dear Lisa." Changing one of the parameters would add an extra variable. Lisa's eyes looked out at Sarah from behind their glass prisms. "And anyway, I'm more qualified to monitor the equipment. My own needs do not take precedent over the experiment." Dear Lisa,"
Stop saying
Sarah
fucking
rubbed her
dear.
own eyes in frustration. "I guess I should take comfort in the fact I find you as irritating as ever. Your own needs not taking precedence is exactly the problem. I thought it just was how you were, but it's not. Cold logic is just the mask you wear. I don't know how I didn't see it before. You're all a repressed negativity, Lisa. You probably should get some help." There was a pregnant pause as those last hurtful words hung in
pregnant
the air.
pause?
The
What the-
diminutive Lisa and the expanded
I'm sorry,
Sarah
pregnant
looked
pause
at each
doesn't
other
sound right
in
no
the
matter how you
artificial
put it.
light of the lab. The only sound was the faint buzz from a malfunctioning fluorescent light. Finally, it was Lisa who broke the silence. "It is regrettable that you now are able to see through me, as they say." She turned from Sarah back to the computer, its light reflected in her glasses, completely
I'm
hiding her
foiled.
azure
You can
eyes.
see through my
Her tone remained steady and dull,
guys.
as always. Yet, last night perfectly demonstrates why it's better that I keep my negativity hidden. I wasn't emotionally prepared for your enhanced perception last night, but I am now. Regardless, I find it better if my rage remains repressed. Lisa's cold, dispassionate tone finally took on a sharp edge. "Now, dear Sarah, will you please indulge me by touching the diodes?"
Could you just
Sarah
fucking
rolled
stop
her
saying
eyes.
dear?
"Sure, whatever." Then, her tone slightly changed as she continued, "My personal potential has been raised so that the machine can't affect me anyway." Lisa quickly turned back to her only friend. "What did you say?" she asked in genuine bewilderment. Sarah blinked and also seemed surprised. Making the statement into a question, she repeated herself. "My personal potential has been raised so the machine can't affect me anyway?" "What does that mean?" Lisa asked, her eyes narrowing. "I do know." Sarah shrugged. Lisa eyed her friend skeptically. "Well, just touch the diodes." On the 3
I'm
count.
immune to the cosmic
Okie
energy now
dokie,
because
Sarah
I
said. Lisa
upgraded a
counted
certain
down from
perk
3
point
and
that makes
Sarah
sure I can't
touched the
use any more
diodes.
cosmic
Nothing
energy.
happened. See? Sarah said with playful arrogance, but froze when she saw her friend's face. Lisa's face was implacable, but behind that calm visage her depthless eyes contained endless icy expanses of roiling anger and nearly bound frustration. Yet, this chain tempest of unending animosity never touched her thin lips. Lisa simply said it, knowing her steady monotone voice. The unenhanced Sarah wouldn't have even guessed at the seething bitterness she now saw behind that single word. The more insight Sarah gained into Lisa's hidden emotional state, the more disturbed she became. Yet, her longtime friendship with Lisa made her ignore the clear warnings of her upgraded empathy. She might have become a bigot, but she was still Sarah Saber, and the mortal before her was still Lisa Basilisk, her dearest friend. Well, look, why don't I take a turn?
Let's put the person who literally has a bunch of seething anger that you
moderating
literally
the
said
equipment.
needs
Sarah's
help.
intuition
You know,
told her to
let's
stop,
give her
but
the
once again
buff
she ignored
energy.
it. And you take a turn touching the diode? Sarah asked. Lisa didn't respond at first, but then with animosity, even her vaulted self-control could not contain. She said, I guess now you're going to tell me you're more knowledgeable at physics than I am? There was a quiver in Lisa's voice as she asked. Shocked, Sarah responded quickly. No, of course not. Look, I don't know what's going on either. Whatever changed me gave me some kind of... I guess you could call it enhanced women's intuition. But I don't know anything more than you. She quickly amended, less, I know less. Lisa was still eyeing her friend with naked skepticism and barely contained jealousy. Sarah continued, of course I know less. Look, didn't me change in cause, you know, like a paradigm shift or something? You'd want an unaffected person to truly recreate the experiment, right? At this insightful utterance, by her normally superficial friend, Lisa's face twisted in emotion so intense it could only be some inner agony, as if she was
You know
losing
that
a
this
battle with
pink
herself.
energy can turn you
But
super
as
buff.
quickly as the
And
sorrow
you're all
broke
like,
free,
okay,
it
this
was pushed
person's a
back.
giant ball of rage.
Lisa regained
Touch it!
control of her face,
You
and
think
her
you should
voice
grow buff
was
too,
cold
you
and
giant
logical as
ball
she
of
said,
fucking
yes,
rage.
of course, dear
What could
Sarah, you're
possibly
correct.
go wrong?
I should
Hey,
have realized it
I
myself.
broke this guy out of
Lisa's
prison.
face was
Let's have him
steadfast,
touch the
but
pink
Sarah
machine.
could see the twin orbs of stormy blue despair boiling behind Lisa's thick glasses. I'm sure you would have, Sarah said quickly and comfortingly, trying desperately to gloss over everything that was happening. Look, just show me what I should be watching for. Lisa looked as if she might break down again. Sarah kept talking. I know, we don't know what I should be looking for. That's what makes it an experiment. Look, just tell me generally what. And Sarah tried to sound and look her most airheaded and smiled unassumingly at her friend how these doohickeys work. Use small words. Lisa clearly wasn't buying it, but she
Thanks,
complied. A few minutes and some small words later, they were ready to try again. Sarah wondered why Lisa was even including her in this. She knew most of Lisa's other
this gets
groupmates would
really
probably
fucking
be
not safe for
excited
work.
enough to come to the lab on a Saturday if they heard their device was shooting pink lightning. She guessed Lisa wanted to be sure it really did shoot pink lightning before calling anyone else. But Sarah decided not to ask, and soon they were ready to go. Okay, everything's running, Sarah said. Go ahead and touch it. Can you give a 3 count? Lisa asked almost plaintively. Sarah rolled her eyes. Sure. Whatever floats your boat. Then, at speed, 3 swoon. At one there was a loud C-R-A-C-K, and a flash of pink was reflected on the computer screen. Sarah turned in time to see pink lightning dancing across her friend's skin. Lisa shrieked, watch the readouts! And, still sparking, pushed past the stunned Sarah. I was distracted by the magical lightning, Sarah uttered as she moved aside for her frantic friend. You've still got some on you. No sooner were the words out of Sarah's mouth than they no longer were true, the lightning being absorbed into her homely.
What?
No, was all Lisa could say as she frantically scrolled through the displays.
So the pink lightning
There was
enters through the
lightning,
cooch.
you saw it.
Okay.
She turned to Sarah with a wild look in her eyes.
Instead of hold me,
Right.
you could have just said cooch.
Lisa didn't wait for a response as she turned back to the screen. We saw the lightning, she continued as she searched, but there is no record of it. Nothing, not even on the video. It happened, but it didn't happen. Lisa's frenzy became complete despair as she sank to the ground, repeating the contradiction. It happened, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen, but it happened. Inconceivable.
Inconceivable, because smart people say inconceivable.
Inconceivably, noun, not capable of being imagined or grasped mentally, unbelievable. Said Sarah, trying to lighten the mood. I guess it really does mean what you think it means. Lisa looked at Sarah, and only despair could be seen on that pale visage as she spoke. We need to do it again. Maybe if I adjust the video. There was a pause, like a computer downloading information.
You know,
but it will not
I
work.
think we gotta make a smart physics professor.
Another pause, and both Sarah and
Inconceivable. Let me
Lisa
say
said together,
inconceivable.
our personal potential has been raised so the machine can't. They didn't finish and just looked at each other, speechless. What does it mean? Whispered Lisa. I do know. I was hoping you might, Sarah replied hopefully. Then, with clear anticipation, she continued, can you feel the
Ball of
potential?
potential, because, you know.
I can feel something. But it could be anything, replied Lisa. I don't know. Why do you doubt your senses? Because, said Lisa, a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. It may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. Sarah finished, there's more of gravy than a grave. Are we quoting Dickens? She asked. A Christmas Carol, yes, replied Lisa. I never read that book, said Sarah. Nor have I, replied Lisa.
Oh yeah, we
her
just
voice
know what the
again
Christmas
registering
Carol is
intense
because
despair.
fucking
There
cosmic
was a
energy,
pause.
fuck you.
What the fuck is happening? Sarah finally exploded. None of this makes any sense. Lisa just looked up at her towering confidence and cried, I have no fucking clue. Then she burst into tears. Sarah
Pink
was pretty
lightning
sure this
turned me
was the
buff.
first time
What's
she'd
going
ever heard
on?
Lisa swear, and she'd seen her cry only once before. As we've already recounted, dear reader, Lisa was normally very guarded with her emotions, so the open weeping was atypical. Sarah had thought she'd heard sobs coming from her roommate's room on numerous occasions, but had only seen her weep once before. There is no record of it. I have no proof anything happened, wailed the bespectacled Lisa, and it didn't even make me pretty. She screeched the last part. Sarah was at first surprised that was so far down the list of complaints, but then she thought about Lisa's priorities for a second and wasn't. Sarah took her diminutive distraught bosom buddy up in her supernaturally strong arms. SHHH. SHHHH. She cooed. I didn't change right away either, remember. Sarah tried to comfort her friend. Lisa removed her glasses to wipe her tears and glanced up into Sarah's emerald eyes. Sarah immediately fell into those empty blue depths. There was an unsettling freedom as her being dropped into that sapphire void, and now she could truly see the rage and despair hidden in the vast expanse of Lisa's vacuous eyes. Like a threatening thunderstorm roiling in cobalt darkness. On impulse, Sarah leaned down and kissed her distraught friend. Sarah let the kiss linger before she pulled away, averting her eyes from those ultramarine pits. We can't do this again, Lisa. It was unhealthy. Lisa stared back at Sarah as the
You're in
demigoddess
for a
turned
treat,
away,
King
naked
LSD.
demon stark salacity seen plainly on the normally implacable visage. It was the healthiest thing I ever did for myself, she whispered to her ascended former lover. Sarah put the enraptured Lisa down. It was unhealthy for our friendship. Coming out of her stupor, Lisa pulled herself away, dejected. It was unhealthy for YOU. Don't pretend you ended it for you,
Now
yes,
we're
Lisa.
into
Put her
lesbian
spectacles
domestic
back on.
violence.
Sarah
Cats,
continued to
or
look
something, I
away,
don't
letting
know.
the words stand. After a pause she said, you should try, unlocking the pink potential. Thing was all she could think to say. Lisa harumphed. Fine. How did you do it? I do know, Sarah replied. It was Lisa's turn to roll her eyes. Sighing, she focused inward, trying to find the ball of potential. It didn't take her long to give up. I'm not good at this, Lisa said, slumping. The only class I ever failed was on mediation. I'm surprised to hear you ever failed any class, Sarah said. Why would you take one on mediation, anyway?
Mediation? What
Lisa
about
knocked some of her
meditation?
strong blonde hair out of her face.
Mediation?
That's a long story.
Mediation?
I would call it all gibberish, except
Shouldn't
look
it be
at
meditation?
you. Lisa waved her hand at Sarah's godlike form. Well, I
Mediation
think
isn't
it happened when I focused on something I wanted. What is something you've always wanted to change about yourself? Lisa's dark azure eyes sparked with a cold light. Well, I've always wanted to be more intelligent. What? Exclaimed Sarah. But you're already the smartest person I know. And you were the prettiest one I knew, said Lisa greedily. Now look at you. A deep hunger could be seen in Lisa's depthless eyes as, focusing on how much you wish to be smarter, she closed them. And immediately snapped them open again as light poured out from those empty pits. Pink power cascaded out of Lisa. Glimpsing through her empty eyes, the pink potential energy became blue bona fide power.
Oh, now
The
it's blue
cobalt
bona
lightning
fide.
flowed from Lisa's cerulean eyes and
Is,
raced around her head, a halo for the emerging diminutive intellect.
About that,
Neurons
Steve,
grew, old
the
ones
person
multiplied.
the same author
Brain
made an
density
alternate
increased and
account, is
sparking
now
nerve
working on
endings
that,
expanded,
that crap.
connections forming where none
So
were
sorry
before.
about that.
Capillaries opened, redirecting blood to fuel the organic supercomputer. Externally, the changes were slight. Lisa was trading her microcircuits for nanocircuits. Extra space wasn't needed. Folds of gray matter, folded and refolded. A 2. Lobe brain becoming 4, then 8.
Yeah, remember, guys, the more
Parallel
lobes, the better
processors
the
to work
brain.
on individual problems, not worthy of the whole. As the changes started to end, the indigo lightning quickly
I'm
raced
no
around the rest of her
neurosurgeon,
body, making minor
but I'm
cosmetic
pretty sure
changes.
having more
Lisa's
lobes
body
wouldn't
was
make
the
it
glowing
wouldn't
place
make
of
your
her
brain
brain
more
and not much
efficient. In
more.
fact, I think that would make
But
things a
still,
little bit
the
more
home of such
complicated.
an artifact shouldn't be fully neglected. Skin smoothed, losing its pock marks. Hair became glossy instead of dry. Lisa grew an inch or so,
But
and
on
small
the plus
perky
side,
breasts
he's just a
could be
typical
seen
fetish
under her
writer. Like,
shirt
he
where
doesn't
none
try
had
to
been before.
treat his
Lisa
writing
could now
as art
plausibly be
anymore.
mistaken for
He's just
pretty.
like flat out admitting, yeah,
Girl
I
from
write
Marine Orange
smut.
still
What
sparked
about
a
it?
little as Lisa removed her glasses. With true purpose, she dropped the glass prisms for her eyes and stepped on them. The cracking and popping of the spectacles could be heard as her endless eyes looked around the lab as if they were seeing everything for the first time. So, you're smarter now? Asked
Nanocircuit
Sarah.
son.
Yes, Lisa replied simply. Saying nothing else, she continued to assess the lab. Not rushing, her naked eyes took in their surroundings. Are you going to start using words I can't understand? Asked Sarah. The purpose of language is to convey meaning. Thus, it would be stupid of me to employ words the recipient cannot comprehend, Lisa stated as she walked over to the computer, read out and unhurriedly scroll through the data. At least, it started out slow, but as she moved backwards through the information, it became faster and faster. It happened so gradually that Sarah didn't even notice until it became a blur. Said Sarah. I guess that makes sense. So, do you know what's going on with your doohickey? It's magic, isn't it? Tell me it's magic. Any sufficiently advanced science is indistinguishable from magic.
Or
But
yeah,
any
science and magic
sufficiently
are the
analyzed
same.
magic is indistinguishable from science, replied Lisa. Thus, it can't be magic. What does that mean? Lisa seemed to be done with the data and had started flipping through documents and web pages at an alarming rate. She replied, it can't be magic, at least, not the way you mean the term. But,
How
for the
further is
purpose
this
of proof
gonna
by
go?
contradiction, let's say it was. If it was, then this magic is clearly following some underlying rules. We've already determined a few of them experimentally. Empirical evidence and experimentation are the cornerstone of the scientific
There's some
method.
science terms that
There
I
is no
googled.
reason
I'm gonna
this
put them in my
method should be
story.
any less effective at discovering the details of these rules just because what it's analyzing is labeled magic instead of physics, but if it can be analyzed using the scientific method, then it is science. Science is contradictory to how you define magic, thus it can't
We
be
don't
magic.
need this lesson,
I thought
okay?
you said
It's
you were going to
magic,
use
okay?
understandable words.
It's
replied Sarah, folding her arms under her
you're just
perfect
trying to say,
breasts.
oh, this is a
You understood it,
science
Lisa
fiction
replied as she
story, guys.
continued
It
to
isn't a
work.
magic
If I
story.
possessed a substantive rapacity to be catalytic, I'd recapitulate this tableau
Is
as
she
a
just trying to
phantasmagoria
justify
on a
that this
firm
is a
new
sci-fi instead of a fantasy story?
Pedaliophobia. Sure. Whatever, Sarah said. Then, dropping her airhead thought, but what we've witnessed with your device shows it can't be analyzed empirically. You haven't been able to collect data on it. Yet, was Lisa's reply. I wonder what would happen if I hooked up someone's eyeballs to the interface.
What?
She mused aloud. What? Exclaimed Sarah. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. But, Miss Smarty Pants, you didn't answer my question. Do you know what's going on with your doohickey or not? I do not, said Lisa as she pulled away from the desk. But, you said you were smarter now.
It's
I
just
am.
like,
However, I've not been granted any additional information or special secret knowledge. I'm more intelligent,
yes, you know,
but
I'm
not
super
more
smart, but
experienced,
okay.
Lisa
I don't have any
explained as she
special
went to put on her
secret
old
knowledge.
coat.
That's exactly
The
what a smart
information
person would
needed
say.
to solve this conundrum
Okay,
is
outside
not
of
yet
people
known.
joking
I'll
around,
have to
who says
discover it on my
special
own.
secret, like,
She put on her coat and waited by
I
the
have
door.
special secret
Nothing more
knowledge.
can be learned here at this time. We should go home. I will have more perspective on this issue later. Two of my brain lobes are currently working on the conundrum. People only have two lobes, said the ascended Sarah as she followed her ascended friend. True. Regardless, I now have 8. That's weird, commented Sarah. Said the Amazonian goddess in a hoodie and sweats, Lisa deadpanned. Fair enough, Sarah chuckled. What are your other 6 lobes doing, then? Lisa answered as if it was a serious question. 2 of my lobes are working on the mystery of the 0-point generator. 2 are currently cataloging all of the information I've gathered thus far in my life. One is analyzing
And we're
the
not just talking
extent of
about,
my
like,
new
normal
enhanced
muscles, by the
abilities.
way.
And one,
For the buff
dear
fetish.
Sarah,
We're
is
talking
focused
about
on this
literally...
conversation.
Well, you'll
I'm
see.
surprised that takes a whole lobe. Sarah said sardonically. It doesn't. That lobe is focused on gathering new external information.
By the way, let me
generally.
explain how my
It
brain
just so
works, because I
happens
need
this
you to
particular
understand
social
that.
interaction
I'm
is
smart.
currently the most interesting part of that information. Thanks for saying, Sarah quipped. She didn't know what to make of the new Lisa, but she did feel like their relationship had moved a few steps closer to how it had been before, which wasn't to say normal. It had never been normal, but it was familiar. "Well, Brainiac," said Sarah as they left the building, "if we're showing off." And she proceeded to take off her hoodie, revealing her cut-off t-shirt and cut abs. She also quickly cinched her sweats from baggy to form-fitting and changed her stance, again transforming into a negative beauty. Her body was already titillatingly curved and perfectly proportioned, but now her hypnotic durations accentuated all of her body bulges. The ascended Sarah held nothing back as she continued her erotic rising, radiating allure and gathering lust. She was desire, emotion, and longing personified, what you've always wanted but could never have. Lisa's own heart rate increased gazing at this cathedral to cupidity that Sarah had suddenly become. As was mentioned before, dear reader, all humans have different definitions of power. Up until her transformation, Lisa thought power came from comprehension, from knowing what others did not, from understanding how it all worked. Know the rules and you will be better at playing the game, she reasoned. Knowledge is said to be power, after all. Thus, her Welcome to the Microsoft Agent Scripting Helper.
I want to just fucking slowly move forward and skip this, because it's just like, oh, this is how my brain works. Here's some fucking techno-babble, because, you know, when you hear about, like, the Cron Scrupulator, you really want to know about every fucking detail of how the Cron Scrupulator works, you know? It's essential. Fucking... We get it! You're smart! Things will sound okay. Okay. Oh, come on, dear Lisa. Let's see better. 10, dear reader. Understand that understand the concept of that love is lust and purest hate are on one side of a coin. Understand why Lisa reacted poorly after, calm the fuck. We need explanations why she's jealous. We need this narrator explaining to us. Let's skip to the... Oh yeah, round one. I'm thinking about how to fix this problem. I'll spare you the okay, thank you. There we go, finally. I think starting from here. I recognize this part now. And the first words I see are overstuffed redwood of a cock. I just saw the words overstuffed redwood of a cock, okay? I'm seeing a lot of wording about schlong.
Now just a minute. That's my job. Get off that track!
Not a doing. You're gonna stop because
I will spare you the details of the actual modifications made to the device, dear reader. What is important to note is while Lisa's mind wasn't paralleled inefficiently, but her emotion, I will spare you the details of the actual modifications made to the device, dear reader. What is important to note is while Lisa's mind wasn't paralleled inefficiently, but her emotions were chaotic and twisted. She enhanced the device, but did so in a manner uncharacteristically slapdash. Lisa had delayed gratification her entire life, but in this moment she was impertinently impatient. This moment was a malign paradigm shift for the formerly methodical manic. The modifications complete, Lisa wasted no time in turning on the device. Yet, it would feel true to say she didn't pause for an extended moment before she touched the humming diodes. They need time to gather the energy, after all. C-R-A-C-K! Unstable lightning
Cocaine, that's
forced
what I was
into
on
the
when I wrote this
outstretched hand of
story.
the tremble and post-teen. Potent pink power forced into the already enhanced graduate, arcing erratically over her smooth pale skin until being absorbed into the anxious demigod. Lisa stood in the late afternoon light of the lab, again outwardly peaceful but inwardly turbulent. Unlike her first experience, she didn't find the wall of potential inside of her pleasant. Instead, it felt volatile, like a boulder that had been pushed to the top of a teetering peak. About to fall, destroying anything and everything in its path to level ground. She concentrated on it. Her improved brain had worked on the problem for an extended minute, and now she put that plan into action. Unlike before, she forced the ball to give her not what she wanted but what she thought Sarah would want.
You
She
forced the ball to
pretended,
give me
just for a
everything.
second, to be a self-assured popular girl. Yet in doing so, her brain was like a computer running the wrong operating system. She could try and emulate Sarah, but she could never be Sarah. The unstable power within her trembled, as if resisting the supercharged brain trying to force it further into an unnatural state. Then, suddenly, all at once, the pink power gave way, lancing through Lisa's icy eyes. Erratic blue lightning, tinged with green, crackled ominously around the shaking girl. Lisa's legs elongated, her muscles expanded, her breasts ballooned. The formerly mousy blonde ripped through her trap, clothing at physically everything she was become more. Golden locks of silky hair cascaded down her, widening back to a perfect swelling butt.
Span.
Her limbs stretched even as her tendons tightened, becoming taut ropes of sinuous fibers. Her billowing breasts ripped through the warm fabric of her shirt.
This is going buff and
even on
big
the widening
boobs.
sculpted shoulders of the transhuman post-grad. Her waist remained the same size, now impossibly thin, on the newly minted immortal,
Oh, fuck
even
they
her abs
look.
hardened. Freed from its confines, her clitoris lengthened.
Oh
Yet
god,
the
here it
change
fucking
couldn't
comes.
touch her boundless blue eyes. The tatters that could not contain the reforged Unigate fell to the floor as Lisa looked at her magnificent paired form through her immutable icy eyes. Her hair was now shining golden fibers that
Shinning.
seemed to pour over the flawless contours
Shinning.
of her pale hourglass figure. Over 6 feet tall, she was what supermodels aspired to be. Her
Oh yeah,
beauty was
supermodels
something
really
to
want like
inspire dollies and
breasts the size
bloodshed,
of fucking beach
stunning
balls,
in
you
every
know?
meaning of the word. Yet, her enhanced mind analyzed her new body, mentally tabulating and comparing every aspect from presentation to function. As she did the calculations, lightning seemed to flash in the depths of her depthless cobalt eyes, a raging storm without end. She didn't like what she saw. Still second, the towering Lisa screamed into the empty silence of the lab. Her hands balled into powerful fists, which then slammed down upon and shattered a metalwork desk. Circuits and wires cascaded through the air around the seething Lisa. Through shining straight
Yeah,
teeth,
thanks
she
Sarah
hissed
for
the
not
words
using your
again,
enhanced
still
thinking to
second.
not rails. Let's give a
Lisa
fucking
knew,
ball
dear
of
reader,
rage.
she
God
knew her mock
powers.
transformation wasn't comparable to the original. She was ravishing, but she still lacked something her roommate had in spades. Something she couldn't quantify, but could sense nonetheless. She was greater, but still lesser. She knew, but Lisa's customary outward calm returned with unnatural swiftness. The tumultuous tempest that had threatened to demolish the laboratory was again chained behind the ultramarine eyes of the fickle scholar. Coldly, the statuesque Lisa looked around the lab for something to clothe her new elongated self. Her stormy eyes fell on a white lab coat in the corner. With inhuman grace, she moved across the floor, now strewn with bits of metal from her truncated tantrum. Donning the coat, she exited the room, unreasonably hopeful a direct comparison might yet yield different results. Sarah was sitting on Brett's bed in his fraternity room. She knew he was trying his best to listen to her words, even as her heightened beauty enthralled him. Her commanding voice competed with her distracting dazzle for the jock's attention. The push and pull of those two demanding perceptions was threatening to overwhelm the frat brother, but he held on. I'm just worried about her, is all, Sarah explained. I mean, I always knew she was different, but I didn't realize
I wonder
how
what's
disturbed
wrong
she
with her.
really
She's
was.
really disturbing. She
Sarah
talked
must be
about
awestruck shocked at this gesture to let
reactivating
him
the
know he
buff
was
machine.
expected to respond. Brett said, blinking. He truly was trying his best to participate. It just was so hard now, with a demigod that was his girlfriend. Well, she really hides it well then. I'd never have guessed. But, you believe me? Sarah tested. Yes, of course, unquestioningly. Brad answered automatically, then blinked as if just realizing what he had said. I mean, of course, babe. He tried to put some metal in his voice, but it trailed off to a distracted yeah. Sarah sighed. We talked about this, Brett tore his eyes away from the vision before him. I know. Not looking at her helped bolster his resolve. It's just really hard to act like nothing's changed. I mean, look at you. He gestured at her without looking. Do you know what it's like to be next to someone so stunning?
Wait.
Stunning, Sarah sighed apropos. Suddenly, a commotion could be heard downstairs. A commanding voice resonated through the floorboard as if the sound could not be stopped by such mundane means. Where
It
is
gets
she?
worse. It still
Was
can
all
get
it
worse,
said.
guys. There is
Together,
no
Sarah and
limit
Brad
for fucking
exclaimed,
Gray
"What the
Man.
hell is that?" The two lovers looked at each other in bewilderment. Suddenly, the demigod that used to be Lisa broke into the room. Standing almost half naked, the blonde looked like a Greek goddess, carved in ice. Her elongated clitoris could be seen poking through the folds of her lab coat, as could titillating glimpses of her unblemished body. Lisa's unchained ultramarine eyes took in both sweethearts. "Stand," she commanded. Brad jumped to his feet, then looked sheepishly back at Sarah. Sarah did stand, but took her time. The tanned emerald-eyed immortal looked down at the porcelain demigod. Sarah was still a good head taller than her
60
once
watching?
diminutive friend. They locked eyes. Sarah was appalled at the unbound chaos that smoldered in those desolate icy orbs. But, this time, Sarah wasn't the one to blink first. Lisa looked down from the warm emerald eyes of her roommate, her sapphire spheres scanning the perfection before her. Then she turned away in disgust. "What is it? What is it about you?" The frosty blonde asked no one as she studied them both in a full-length mirror on the wall. "What are you talking about? What happened to you?" Sarah demanded, and then amended, "Never mind, that implies I care.
Hey,
Why are you
Dodos
here?"
Wagons.
Lisa looked up at Sarah. "Why?" Lisa asked back. "Why, indeed?" It was almost as if she was asking herself the question. The disheveled blonde looked to Brad, a smile drew itself across her face. "You," she demanded, "I am beautiful, am I not?" Brad looked like he would have rather stayed in the background of this confrontation, but at the demand of the demigod he answered almost
I
without
still can't
thinking.
believe it's still a fucking
"Yes,
tip
you're
of the iceberg
gorgeous.
of how
What
insane
happened?"
this story gets.
Lisa ignored the question. The pale blonde became the definition of
Once
life
we
as
hit
she
chapter
moved towards
4,
the
all
hapless
hell
jock.
fucking
"You
breaks
desire me."
loose.
It was both a statement and a question. She nestled herself next to his body, alluding to charisma she didn't possess. "Agog." Brad looked as if he was
Agog.
about to answer in the affirmative when the thunderstruck Sarah
Agog
found her
even a
voice.
word?
"What the fuck are you doing, Lisa?" "I'm stealing your boyfriend,"
Agog,
Lisa
yeah,
said
agog is a
bluntly.
word.
Aghast, Sarah was beyond shock. "What? No, you're fucking not. Get the fuck out of here!" "Fine," Lisa said. Then she displayed a facsimile of a cute pout, "But I'm taking Brad with me." Sarah looked at the offended Lisa with complete disdain. Then, having a revelation, Sarah threw her head back and laughed. The sound was as pervasive as it was mirthful. "Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, this is a joke, right? You're
I'm stealing your
B-R-I-D-I-C-U-L-O-U-S. The word ridiculous carried with it such gravity that Brad and Lisa both were stuck by its heft. Lisa pulled back from Brad, who seemed to deflate in relief as she did. Her voice took on an air of pedantic lecturing. "I'm not being ridiculous. This is how one proves mating superiority. I'm going to take what's yours to show greater procreative desirability." Lisa disrobed. Her pale supple body seemed to glow with a cold light. Lisa turned to expose her 5-inch clitoris and petulantly proclaimed,
Oh.
"I'm going to use this on him and make him mine." At that proclamation, Brad let out a choke sound akin to distilled horror.
I'm sorry, you
The disgust
can say
on
this
Sarah's
quote.
face was a palpable force as she purposely
At that
removed her own
proclamation, Brad
garments,
let out a choke
exposing her
sound
infant
akin to
glory to the
distilled
open
horror.
air. Her
Everyone's
tanned
reaction to
hourglass
this
body
story.
defied reason just as her breasts defied gravity. Sarah's stance changed to one of undeniable dominance, and her radiance seemed to absorb the light from the room. Everything about the fiery-haired demigod dwarfed the live ice queen, not just her height, but her very being. Her 6-inch clitoris beat with virtuous heat, as if the very thought of Lisa's defiance angered it. Like the sun, compared to the moon, shining Sarah was the beauty pale Lisa aspired to. The soft resonating tones of Sarah's imposing voice could not be stopped or assuaged. "No, you will not." Each quiet word a juggernaut. Lisa shrank back like an exorcist demon before the sacrosanct. She looked at Sarah's throbbing clitoris, then down at her own smaller member and seemed to deflate further. But
You
then
know,
the
I have
aspiring
penis
god rallied.
envy.
Lisa looked at Brad, a succubus playing with its prey, and extended an arm, pointing in his direction. Brad looked back at the pale beauty of the golden-haired girl. "Come with me." Lisa's command was as prevalent as it was perverse. Her simple words wormed their way into Brad's brain, and he took a step towards the controlling immortal. The disgust hadn't left Sarah's
God
divine
damn it,
features as she
Brad.
rolled her scintillating emerald eyes. "Oh, for the love." "Fine." Sarah turned to Brad, each word dripping with false gravitas. "Brad, choose." "What?" The overwrought frat boy mouthed. "That's what she wants." The angelic beauty gesticulated at the now seemingly impish Lisa. Sarah continued exacerbated. "She wants you to pick between us. So, do it. Will you go with this newly minted hussy, or will
Both
you
of them have
stay with your
pseudo-penises,
actual
yes.
girlfriend?" Brad blinked, the blunt question momentarily awakening from his stupor. The jock, closed his eyes as he pondered, further breaking the spell. An elfin grin formed on his chiseled face and he seemed to shrug off the gravity of the situation. He opened them again, a mischievous smile never leaving his face. Not even a question, he said, turning to Sarah. Of course I'm with you, babe. Lisa blinked in shock, and then howled in utter defeat. With her ethereal shriek echoing, the vanished banshee fled into the growing dark of night. Ah. Brad said, looking at the fleeing, crazed, and naked demigod. You wanna, I don't know, like, go after her or something? Also, when were you going to tell me about the HAT?
Dude, rats are gay!
Still exposed 6-inch
Oh, well.
sausage.
Actually, that's
Sarah
more
ignored
of
the
a food.
second question and answered the first.
Food is a
I
trap.
wait till she calms down, she stated. We're roommates after all. It's not like she has anywhere else to go. The fleeting Lisa caused less of a stir as she moved across campus than you'd imagine, dear reader. Most who saw her literally could not believe their eyes. It was late, the eventful day drawing to a close, but Lisa wasn't done. Her new state allowed her to operate without sleep anyway. She arrived in the physics department on that cold Saturday night, taking what she needed from the vending machine in the empty lobby of a nearly empty building. One of her professors, heading home for the night, had the bad fortune to stumble upon the naked immortal as she chewed a stolen candy bar. After a few emasculating words from the hyper-intelligent and hyper-beautiful demigod, he dearly wished he'd not. Lisa might be slightly less gorgeous than Sarah, but she was 100 times nastier. The professor left feeling like he was the scum of the earth, forever having questioned why a pale naked woman was feasting from the shattered vending machine. Such was Lisa's power. In the lab, Lisa quickly took one last look around, cataloging all of the equipment therein. Then she sat in the center of the room, near the table she had destroyed earlier, and her flawless body seemed to shut down. But, while her body was immobile, her eightfold mind burned through the calories she had ingested. All of her brain worked on the problem. But, before she even started, she knew what she must do. She whispered a mantra that had served her well when other problems had proved daunting. When elegance fails, use brute force. Brute force was an old computer coding adage. When one can create an elegant code to get the computer to do what one needs it to do, pragmatism sometimes leads one to create an over-designed, yet workable, solution. Where subtly fails, brute force might
We
prevail.
get it, where subtly
Lisa,
fails,
always the
we
pragmatist,
just said
knew
that.
now she couldn't beat Sarah in a fair fight, so she would cheat. She would abandon skillful artistry in favor of overwhelming savagery. Hours ticked by as the organic supercomputer, sitting behind Lisa's closed sapphire eyes, worked and reworked the design of the zero-point generator. Utilizing anything and everything she had cataloged in her short stint as an ultra-super genius, her eightfold brain designed and redesigned the machine, each time adding to its output. At the stroke of midnight, the demigod of intellect Lisa had become open her depthless icy eyes. With a speed denied lesser beings, the ascended student gathered what she needed. Unlike before, her methodical nature was in full force as she pilfered the place. No part of the lab was spared as she disassembled every project there, including the existing zero-point generator. In the dead of night, she even plundered parts from other labs, students' computers, and the vending machine. She
Oh wow,
refueled
she
her
plundered the
overtaxed
vending
mind
machine
and
again,
body
what
as she did the
an
latter. Then, when everything she needed was gathered, everything she needed disassembled, she set her newly acquired fine motor skills to the
How do you
delicate task
disassemble
of
a vending
assembling
machine
the
with your
device.
hands, even if you
She
are
was
really buff?
meticulous in her methods, but she knew it wouldn't be perfect. Lisa believed she knew science wasn't about perfection, it was about progression. Current theories are proven wrong only when something less wrong comes along. The mistakes of the past attenuate the mistakes of the future. Lisa well knew science continually mitigates errors, but she believed it was incapable of eliminating them. Thus, she wasn't trying to build a perfect zero-point generator, just the best she could with the materials at hand. We will have to forgive her, dear reader, for being hopelessly naive in her misplaced certainty.
Naive,
Regardless, the hours ticked by as Saturday night became early Sunday. The patchwork monster she was creating grew as the dark of night gave way to the light of morning. Finally, as the sun of the Sabbath touched the almost empty building, Lisa stepped back
Son
to
of the
gaze on her
Sabbath.
complete
What?
work. She didn't
We get it,
pause
you're
out of reverence,
artsy!
dear
Son
reader,
of the
but
Sabbath!
practicality.
Biblical references,
She wanted
guys!
to
I'm
scan
art!
everything
I'm
one
an
last time
artist!
before turning
I
the
can
experiment
write!
on. But you and I can pretend she did so out of some narrative need. Satisfied that it wouldn't explode, Lisa flipped the switch and moved towards the humming diodes, which were fashioned from
Oh,
two
here we
legs.
come, boys, here we
Again,
come!
She paused, and again sadly it wasn't to build tension, at least, not for this account you're reading. She simply needed to wait for the generator to fully charge, to fully gather all of the pink potential energy it was capable of collecting. Poetically, to gorge itself on the fuel of the universe, only to then disgorge that fuel into Lisa. This took several minutes, and Lisa waited several more just to be sure. After all, she had no way of detecting the buildup. when she was as certain as she could be the diodes, and flooded as much energy as they could from the
Here it
universe without a
comes.
hint of ceremony.
Here comes the
took one
okay, this
step
is the
forward
first
and
worst
decisively
part.
grabbed the metal chair legs. To describe the sound that followed as a C-R-A-C-K would be an injustice. Every piece of glass in the building, from every window to the broken shards of Lisa's old spectacles still on the floor, disintegrated. Anything in the room not nailed down was blown back. Lisa herself had to hang on for dear life as a thick bolt of cracking pink lightning struck her. Her body became a cascade of neon power. Seemingly uncontrolled, the white bolts of power permeated the air. Yet, none of the erratic arcing energy hit anything but Lisa. It seemed chaotic, but it was focused on the pale golden-haired girl. The pink potential power swirled around the sparking female in its center until it was absorbed completely into the flawless skin of the women. There was literally a sucking sound as the
There's
sudden
literally a
absence caused the
sucking
vacuum to
sound.
form. Everything pushed back from the sound now was pulled forward towards the figure in the focal point of the vortex. Being close to the epicenter, the zero-point generator actually snapped in half. Lisa stood in the center of Maelstrom, outwardly unchanged. But, inwardly she could feel the pleasure of holding this much of the untempered pink energy. It was like the first time she had felt the energy, only many orders more satisfying. Despite her normally ascetic nature, Lisa clung to this glorious sensation. It threatened to overwhelm her before she could even truly taste what she had gathered. But with great effort and the indomitable will her first transformation had granted, she bent the incalculable energy to her wants. The struggle between herself and the power was short and climatic. Lisa won. With a cry that would have shattered windows if any were left,
Sorry,
the plot threw her head back as the neon energy lensed itself through her empty blue eyes. Cobalt lightning arced around her as she became everything she could ever hope for and anything she'd ever wished to be. Brute force, the ejaculating girl whispered into the cascading power that wrapped itself around her expanded form. Where she had been supple before, she became strapping. Her muscles swelled and densified, cells doubling and redoubling as they were fed the energy of the void. Her biceps bulged even as her arms lengthened. Her legs elongated and her glutes swelled, her feet widening to accommodate the towering temple to realized potential she'd become. Her core became flawless diamonds as the definition of her abs intensified beyond possibility. Her shoulders widened to accommodate her expanding mass. And ungodly massive she did indeed become. Lisa grew and grew. Unbounded power coursed through her corpulent capillaries as even her blood thickened. Her enlarged heart became more capable than a jet engine.
What?
Every part of her once live body expanded and hardened. Her clitoris was no exception.
Here it comes.
Flame snaked around the fattened trunk, gorging itself on enhanced blood. A true cockhead emerged from the obscenely open shoulder, sporting a hole bigger than your little finger. Go on, dear reader, look at your little finger.
No, I will
now,
not look at my finger.
I
will not look at how big a fucking finger
to
hole in your cock
the
is.
overmuch form would completely overshadow Pringle's cannon both length and girth.
Yeah, there we go! There's the
nearly
light!
hit the ceiling as she towered over the broken generator.
Oh,
Her
boy!
medium would have looked ridiculous on the powerful 7.5 foot being she became, so her head also enlarged. Her ultra-dense brain doubled in size as its processors quadrupled, 8 lobes becoming 16 and then 32. Her intelligence increased exponentially by a factor of 2 each time, for a total of 256 times smarter than she had been with just 2 lobes. Her IQ would have been over 33,000 if there was any way to reliably measure it, which there
256
wasn't.
lobes.
Despite the brawn of her hulking body, she was still undeniably female. Her shimmering voluminous hair cascaded in rippling waves around her rounded curves, glowing like molten gold in even the faintest light. Her inhumanly broad shoulders only served to accentuate her waspish waist. Her devastating gluteus maximus was powerful enough to make any male weep, either in pleasure or pain. Her overflowing breasts were femininity made manifest. Not even Lisa's flaring neck muscles could take away from their monstrous majesty. Her sinew only seemed to frame the massive mammary mountains.
Just wait one
Lisa's
second.
pale skin radiated beauty. Or, perhaps the reverse would be more accurate. She was so devastatingly gorgeous.
I am now
around her
omnibuff.
as if she was absorbing their luster. She wasn't, dear reader, it was just that her divinity underscored the fact anything and everything else was mundane.
Yeah, you know, when you have a
ultramarine
food
eyes
cup the
remained
size of a
unchanged during
Pringles
this
can, yeah, that makes
transformation,
everything
eternally
else
holding everything
mundane
and
compared
nothing.
to you.
It was in this moment, looking down at her scintillating marble skin, the one true definition of omnipotence was revealed to Lisa. Absolute power, dear mortal, is the agency to do whatever you want, whenever you want. True
Stop
power
calling
is the
me
removal of
dear.
limits, be they physical, mental, or moral. Thus, to remove all limits is to be all-powerful, to be able to do anything and everything.
That's literally just the
Analyzing
definition
her
of
powerful body
omnipotence.
with her powerful mind, Lisa realized no one on the planet could impose limits on her. Not even Sarah, as Lisa was now even farther above her than Ascended Sarah
This
had
is
been
a
above
Super
normal
Saiyan
Lisa.
ascended
The
above
sapphire
Super
eyes
Saiyan.
widened with these revelations. She no longer needed to delay any gratification. She could have her cake and eat it too. Hell, she could eat everyone's cake. They'd give it to her willingly. Yet,
Oh
now
god,
that
she's
she
gonna
could
eat
do
all our
whatever
cake!
she wanted, what did she want to do? She pondered this as looked down at her pulsating, overstuffed redwood of a cock, and a wicked smile broke across her awe-inspiring visage. Her perfect recall plotted the quickest route to the school's most exclusive sorority.
Oh, pulsating, overstuffed redwood of a cock. This is Fuda. And sure, Blue, give me a sec. Here, wait, give me a sec. This is only chapter 4. Or chapter 3. That's the thing. YouTube PMs don't work. That's the only problem with John. I'll just rather have people, like, send me a friend request and, we can go from there. Since that's the safest way. The most reliable way. Anyways, after streaming, I'll probably get an invite, Blue. That won't be a problem, don't worry, John. Alright, we ready for... Oh, no! I know what happens in this part! Oh god, I know what happens in this part. No, they don't, John.
Sarah was a little worried. Her increasingly erratic roommate hadn't come home Saturday night, and it was now Sunday evening. Sarah had spent the day on the couch with Brad. Even an extrovert like her needed a break after the weekend's events, and at her suggestion they had spent this Sunday watching TV. She'd done her best to make Brad feel as if normality had returned, with greater and lesser results. As Sarah sat in her cold apartment couch cuddling next to her men, she felt something approaching the building. A disturbance she could not explain, but that only grew larger. With growing dread, Sarah realized it could only be her prodigal roommate returning. Hulking Lisa barged into the quiet apartment with 4 pretty sorority girls in tow. The moderate immortal's head just brushed the ceiling, and her ample assets were compressed into a trench coat that might have once been a king-sized bedsheet. But this insufficient garment was discarded the moment Lisa's hulk squeezed through the front door.
That's
Their
what's
skimpy
happening.
garments disheveled, the giggling sorority sisters clustered around her, willing slaves waiting for their mistress's commands. The immense Lisa looked down at Sarah and Brad huddled on the couch, and laughed. The sound rode into the room, which already seemed overfull with just Lisa's presence, the 5 other mortals mere adjuncts. Without ceremony, Lisa took one of the sorority girls. Removing her clothing, Lisa maneuvered the girl, bent her over the kitchen table, and inserted her obscene organ into the overeager teenager. Doggy style, she fucked the cooing girl with her
By the way,
proselyte
here's
penis
some,
as the other
here's a
3
Fuda fucking
looked
a
on
girl because,
jealously in
art.
wanton wonder. Don't let me interrupt, the imposing Lisa said as the sounds of her oversupplied organ squelching in and out of a pint-sized overfilled pussy competed with a TV. As she ravished the pretty girl, Lisa pointed at one of the other 3, who immediately produced a laptop, Sarah knew not from where. In her voice, that sounded as if it should be commanding armies, Lisa continued, I thought I would finish the dictation of my thesis here. The biology department's lab was no longer suitable. Right, girls? The sorority girls,
No,
now
it
town
isn't,
slaves,
Paul. It's
simply
the
nodded
end.
in
His
rapid
final
agreement.
work.
Understandably, Brad and Sarah were in shock. Sarah recovered first, but what the fuck was all the Ascended Redhead could manage? I know, Lisa said as she continued to use the tiny squealing girl on the table like a human fleshlight for her tremendous tool. I could probably type the whole thing in an hour, but I find I really like dictation. And the girls at Alpha, Epsilon, Omega were just so accommodating. Ironically, the girl on the table was having undeniable trouble accommodating the ludicrous dimensions of the grotesquely engorged instrument Lisa was using on her. What the fuck? Sarah said again, now making the statement more of a question. Indeed, was all the godlike Lisa said as the pounding picked up speed. Without effort, Lisa flipped the exposed girl over onto her back as she rammed the overgrown oaken rod relentlessly into her.
Overgrown oaken rod.
Could be seen moving beneath the petite overtaxed female skin. Lisa was attempting to be unfeeling about it, but Sarah could see Lisa's hidden anger come to the surface as the rhythm increased. The hate fucking intensified in a thundering blizzard, seemed to flash in the icy eyes of the audacious nerd. Though none of Lisa's substantial weight was on the table, the sturdy wood started to crack under the relentless onslaught taking place. Maleficent Lisa literally drilled the overwhelmed woman through the table with the force of her face twisted with intense emotion as the crescendo continued. The other three girls huddled together witnessing the pernicious act, the computer forgotten by all. The table splintered and broke, but the spasming girl remained in the air, held aloft by the aloof giantess's brutalizing immoderate member. There was no end to the spoiling savagery. Sarah could see the misused and overstressed vaginal muscles of the crying girl convulsing uncontrollably.
What?
Every time Sarah thought the unrelenting Lisa must have reached some limit, the tempo escalated. Finally, after an eternity, Lisa gritted her prefect teeth and let out an unceremonious grunt. Her grotesquely overindulged dick seemed to expand even more, stretching the already overstretched walls of the fuck-sully girl's
dick
neck.
expanded
Sarah
even
could see
more!
the possibly thick fluid being pumped into the hapless girl, the monstrous muscles of the lady
Yes,
suit
Lisa
forcing
was
more
a
and more of the
lesbian,
potent total
because,
into the overripe
that's
woman.
hot,
The pressure
and,
forced the
you
impaled girl
gotta
up,
jerk
and off
off
the
this
swollen
arc
steely
somehow.
rod and the used-up girl fell to the shattered table as the overdone member spurted a superabundance of vital goo over the shuddering sister. The act
Vital
finished,
goo?
triumphant Lisa turned, her excessive cock unbent and still ready. They're lasting longer, Lisa thundered. Upsetting that I've almost run out. The other three girls held each other as the monstrous Lisa loomed over them. Sarah was about to say something when a knock on the door interrupted the scene. Faster than a blink, or a second knock, Lisa was answering it. Her trench coat was somehow already on, as she did. The towering post team took up more than the door frame, but two police officers could still be seen in the hallway as the door opened. The imposing figure before them was obviously not what the police were expecting as they looked up stupefied at the ascended being before them. Officers, you were here about the murder, Lisa prompted when it was clear they weren't about to speak.
What?
The WHAT? Leaping to her feet, Sarah had finally found her lost voice. Yes? Unsure, one of the cops answered the superlative Lisa. There's your murderer, officer, Lisa said in a pervasive voice, pointing at one of the cowering sorority sisters. Then, to the girl, in a voice one might use to call a dog, Dear Nikki, your mistress calls, attend. The dark-haired Nikki could not move to Lisa faster, prostrating herself before the hulking creature. Subservient in the extreme, she whispered, Mistress, command anything and everything. Grandiose, Lisa spoke like she was addressing a stupid child. You will go with these men. She pointed at the stunned officers. Dear Nikki, your mistress calls. You murdered Corey and you are filled with an overwhelming guilt only confession can alleviate. The raven-haired girl's dark eyes went wide with shock, the words having a profound effect on her. I murdered Corey, Nikki whispered, as if just realizing a horrific truth. How could I? Looking up at her goddess.
Corey, no!
Mistress, I murdered Corey. I have to confess. I know, dear child, magniloquent Lisa said with
They killed Corey!
helping the battling girl to her
fill up
feet
the
and into
house
the waiting
now.
arms of the police. But, as she heard this utterance, Sarah realized only she, with her enhanced empathy, could sense the mockery in the words. To all the mortals present, those tainted words could only have the ring of unblemished truth. Sarah watched in horror as the stupefied officers took the confessing girl away. As they did, Sarah exploded.
That's because your
W-H-A-T.
sister and Gray Man both do not understand the fundamentals to good
She
writing.
yelled at Lisa's expansive back,
The word choice and the word choice isn't what makes up how good your writing is. It's all about the substance you put in your story. Now, while word choice can help your writing look good, if you use a bunch of fancy words, it's still gonna be shit.
Dear Sarah, Lisa said, an overconfident smirk on her face.
That's what I love about
Lisa
writing.
towered over even the
No matter how
before
many
her.
pornos you
Sarah
write, there's
took
no
the same
such thing as a
stand she had
quality
held
written
when
porno.
she forced Lisa from Brad's fraternity,
Like art.
but since then there had been a shift in relative power. It was clear to the witnesses Sarah was outmatched. Comparing Lisa's cold inexorable beauty to Sarah's muted radiance was like comparing a scintillating glacier to a burning candle. Anything and everything about the godlike blonde now outed the ascended redhead. Power oozed out of the divine creature's every perfect pore, yet Sarah remained undaunted. Don't you dare Sarah me, Sarah stated. Did you kill someone? Lisa's cold desolate eyes looked into Sarah's sparkling green ones. Someone? There was a chuckle from deep within Lisa's vast expanse. I dissected an animal, she admitted with a shrug. An animal? Then, horrified Sarah exclaimed, you dissected someone. Lisa's smirk widened. Nothing unseemly when done to a lesser creature. Sorority girls aren't lesser creatures. Sarah couldn't believe this conversation.
She dissected Corey,
Lisa's chuckle
no!
became a chilling laugh. She mockingly admitted the act. You found me out, dear Sarah. I cut the girl open just to see what made her tick. I opened her skull and used what I learned on the Watchers. She pointed at the two girls in the corner. You were so horrified when I first opened Corey, but you're not now, are you? Sarah was speechless as the two girls answered in unison, no, mistress. Lisa's radiant grin could not be wider. What will you do when your mistress calls?
Hey, Tommy, welcome
She
to hell.
demanded. Anything and everything, the two answered like school children reciting an anthem. Sarah could even hear the semi-conscious third mumble the same words from the wreckage of the table. Lisa's sadistic mirth was palpable. See, dear Sarah? Like a farmer slaughtering cows, the rest of the herd is unfazed. You just need to know the right way to condition the animals. You're insane, Sarah whispered, her mind reeling from the horror show. You can't do this to fellow human beings. This time Lisa's laugh was not controlled. The monstrous Lisa shook with unbridled amusement. Sarah shrank back from the unstable physicist. Fellow humans, Lisa said raucously. Fellow human
Just grab a
beings?
gun and shoot her.
She asked, still laughing.
Just grab a gun.
Suddenly, her tone changed to one of solemnity. Do I look human to you? If Sarah had any shock left, the question would have taken it. But then she did look, truly look, at the towering thing before her. Sarah's emerald eyes darted from its behemoth body to its inhumanly rippling muscles, constantly moving under its unblemished torso and skin. Its elephantine breasts were unnaturally colossal over its waspish waist.
Elephantine
It had
breasts,
plenty
you know.
to find ab muscles in the pulsating cock
Arch.
that would have looked oversized
Oh,
on the
and,
stallion. Lisa wasn't human
yeah,
in the
there's the
same
cock
way a
again.
human was in the monkey. Or, Sarah thought with a shudder, in the same way a human is in the bacterium. Do human brains have 32 lobes? The horrifically beautiful creature
Yeah,
that had
no,
once been a girl named Lisa
productions of
Paz was
fetish
cast.
literature
Her
have
sharp
32 lobes,
smile
probably.
widened past possibility. Sarah felt panic grip her as she
Everybody's
looked in
been
terror at
ratifying.
the inhumane theme that had once been her closest friend. Humans don't afford lesser creatures much thought, Lisa continued, the wallfish grin filling her
The
radiant
wallfish.
vintage. They raise cows just to eat them. Did you know, dear Sarah, there was a parrot named Alex, proven to have the intelligence of a 5-year-old human? And a pig's brain is much more sophisticated than any bird's. But what is this fact compared to the taste of bacon?
But you're not a
The
cannibal.
chuckle from deep inside Lisa started again, not unlike a cat's purr. It seemed independent of her speech
Stop
as
giving
Lisa
us a lecture
monologued.
on
Sentience isn't
sentience.
binary. Like anything else, there is a range to it. Humans have only convinced themselves they reached some upper limit. How ridiculous. I have no pity for such an ignorant species. And, looking back, I
We
realize I
eat
never
pigs
did.
because they
Not
taste
even
good. You
when I
just
was
killed
one of them.
You just killed people.
Still
He's like,
sporting
I
that
can do it. I
wallfish
want to
grin,
dissect
Lisa's
Corey.
bottomless blue eyes
Corey
looked behind
didn't-
the stupid
Corey
Sarah.
didn't let me
The
say.
creature licked her luscious lips. Brad,
Yes, it did,
Lisa
King.
cooed to the quaking mortal still
Steve.
huddled on the couch. Brad looked around as if to convince himself he meant some other Brad. Come here, Brad, Lisa cajoled. You're soon to be mistress calls. Lisa's tone sent shivers spiraling down Sarah's spine. Sarah's eyes widened further as she watched her boyfriend reluctantly respond. The shaking mortal hypnotically approached the predator. What the fuck, again was all Sarah could manage. But her inaction didn't last as Lisa tore Brad's pants to shreds. Lisa's twitching, overindulged cock seemed to loom even larger as she positioned it next to Brad's virgin dairy. The ferocious kick was faster than any eye could follow,
Oh,
yet
boy.
Lisa still caught Sarah's ankle
Yeah,
before
Pulp
the attack
and
connected with
I
her
read through
ample
this
neck.
back in the summer.
Foot first, using the momentum of the strike, the vigor won through the big redhead, though the couch like she was a ragdoll. The piece of furniture shattered as the demigod's body fractured the mundane material. Lisa's laughter was so pervasive it was painful to hear. Oh, dear Sarah, please, she said, please try that again. Sarah obliged. The fury-headed demigod came at the Defect Ice Queen, her flying kick carrying the ascended mortal's full weight. This time Lisa just took the attack on the chin. The sound from the impact compressed the air and shattered the kitchen's crockery. Brad and the two girls fled as Sarah's flying form fell to the floor. The brutish Azulus turned her head and took one small step back to rebalance as the full force of the strike landed, then her head turned towards Sarah. Lisa's inhuman smile didn't waver and her empty cobalt eyes seemed to
Grab
sparkle
a
with delight.
gun.
Violence, the last refuge of the broken. Lisa's self-assurance could be heard in each word. Hearing I dissected a classmate didn't provoke you to action, but have your boyfriend offer himself to me. Lisa didn't bother finishing. Casually moving faster than thought, the godlike blonde hands and her unyielding fingers simply wrapped themselves around the smaller girl's neck. Kicking and struggling, for each breath, Sarah was lifted into the air at arm's length.
Are we gonna get to the next worst part?
Eyes. Sarah again fell into those empty blue pits in Lisa's eye sockets. Defiant, Sarah's warm emerald eyes didn't blink as she desperately tried prying Lisa's implacable fingers apart. Coldly, Lisa studied those glimmering green orbs as she callously choked the life out of her only friend. The light in Sarah's eyes started to fade, but Sarah's resolve was unassailable. Then, unexpectedly, Lisa's vacuous icy orbs widened and Sarah could see something bordering on remorse within. The huge blonde whispered to herself, "To what end?" And her eyes-like grip relaxed. And to what purpose? Lisa asked only herself. Causally, Lisa threw the barely conscious Dunnigan over the unconscious sorority sister and into the kitchen's cabinets. By the time Sarah awoke and picked herself up off of the floor, her capricious combatant had vanished. The decent creature had presumably taken her laptop and trench coat and left the building. Sarah sat on the foul door of the ruined kitchen. She thought she might go after the fleeing Lisa, but didn't know what she would do if she did catch up with a deified nerd. At least Rev's probably safe, the sulking Dunnigan thought to herself. Sarah looked over at the wrecked girl still lying in the wrecked table trying to understand what had happened. Standing, Sarah messaged her sore body as she attempted to process the day's events. To clear her mind and desperate for something familiar, she started her standard morning exercise routine. Naked in the dimly illuminated kitchen, Sarah seemed to glow with an inner green light as she performed the well-known stretches. Her gravity-defying breast jiggled just the right amount as the root actions composed her roiling mind. Her fiery hip-length hair was like a comet's tail as she finished with a graceful cartwheel. Calmed, Sarah realized one of the things about the encounter that shook her was how easily Lisa had overwhelmed her. Helplessness wasn't the feeling Sarah had ever come to terms with, nor was jealousy. It was clear her once mousy roommate now outclassed her in every conceivable way. This was a fact she didn't want to face, but one she knew she needed to deal with. Lisa's unbalanced ethics made it a necessity. Before any pity
Remember,
for
Sarah,
herself,
you gave
Sarah
Lisa
felt
the god powers in the
compassion
first
for Lisa's
place, you
other victims.
retard.
Her own inadequacies were harrowing, but Sarah's first thoughts were of stopping Lisa. Sarah acknowledged her role in giving the unstable women access to such power. Sarah understood she wasn't innocent. The blood on Lisa's hands was partially on hers as well.
Okay, at least
She
you
had to
fucking
make this
understand
right.
that, you shit.
It is important to understand, dear reader, that Sarah is a good person. She really and truly cares about you. Resolved, Sarah decided
by the
to
way,
venture
instead
into
like,
the night. Under the
having the
cloak
reader
of darkness,
think,
she made her way
let me
to the
explain everything
physics
to you.
lab.
Good writing.
She didn't know what Lisa was currently up to, but she did know she couldn't stop the rampaging blonde in her current state. Thus, she sought the zero-point generator. Yet she did so not just for herself, but also for others. Sarah wanted this power, it's true. But it is also true she didn't want it just for its own sake. She truly wanted to help those Lisa had wronged and was no doubt currently wronging.
You think
Sarah
because
understood
implied
her own
that.
limitations, she knew she lusted for the power. But, please remember she also did have noble intentions. Not least among those was a worry for Lisa herself. Despite everything, Sarah still hoped her wayward friend could be redeemed. If you have any pity for Sarah, dear reader, pity her for this. In the abandoned lab, beneath a misfiring halogen light, Sarah found the broken generator. Sarah gazed upon the monstrosity Lisa had made of it, and saw that it had been broken in half. Another person might have despaired looking at the impossibly complex mess before them. But, dear reader, depressing thoughts simply weren't made for Sarah's
You
sake.
already stated that.
Looking at the
She's
damaged
very
device, Sarah relaxed
optimistic.
her body and mind and closed her emerald eyes. When she opened them again, she simply knew, as she had so often in her blessed life, what needed to be done. So she did it. Connecting wires where she felt they wanted to go, Sarah healed the mangled machine. Into the night, the fury-headed Sarah repaired what Lisa had damaged. Late she labored until she finally looked upon the apparatus restored. Sarah has the sense of drama Lisa lacked, so she did pause for dramatic effect before she flipped the switch. Sarah understood she should wait,
Night,
and her
Spencer.
anticipation mounted as the hum from the diodes intensified. If mousy Lisa became that overinflated and pompous creature, what will I become? The thought sent pleasant tingles down Sarah's spine. Even after Lisa used it twice, I was better after only one. Maybe it's exponentially based on where you start. If Lisa became that unstoppable thing, how much greater will I be after this? When she could wait no longer, and the humming seemed to have peaked, with a wistful sigh, Sarah grasped the diodes. And nothing happened. Confused, Sarah held onto the cold metal, trying to will the power she could feel into her. Suddenly,
man,
as she stood in the cold gloom of the lamp, pervasive laughter could be heard, coming from every corner of the darkened lab. Sarah turned to see Lisa's silhouette looming behind her. In shock, she released the diodes and fell back as the figure advanced. The immense blonde slow clapped sardonically as she approached the humming machine. "Oh, Sarah, dear Sarah," she said with that mocking smile on her face. Homo erectus had the capability to make fire
Homo
for
erectus,
100,000
yes.
years before they figured out it involved rubbing two sticks together. She stepped between the cowering Benigid and the humming device. Ironically, that discovery prompted the evolution of Homo sapiens. In order to improve this to its physical pinnacle, I didn't need to find exotic material or send away
Fire
for
caused
specially
humans
made
to
parts.
evolve.
Lisa looked at the humming zero-point generator as she continued. I simply needed to know which two sticks to rub together. Sarah had no response, but she had experienced too many fulcrum shifts in the last few hours to be surprised by this turn of events full on. Her sparkling eyes darted around the lab looking for some way to destroy the humming machine or to get Lisa away from it. Quick as a blink, she grabbed and threw a literal monkey wrench, actually a medium-sized crescent wrench, at the humming machine. But, as fast as she was, Lisa was faster. The massive monster caught the spinning tool in midair and continued her monologue. Then, it was easy to calibrate it so only I could use it. But, even that was too simple. So I disassembled it just enough for you to be able to reassemble it for me.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is
by
so
the
much
way,
more
I'm super
satisfying.
intelligent, and I
If one
decided,
seemed to
instead of
consider that
becoming
word.
God, I'll just let you make me a
Satisfaction.
God indirectly by
Something I denied
pranking
to
you.
myself while you indulged. Everyone having fun while I worked. And Lisa's anger showed in her stormy eyes. The worst part was I was no better off for it. Some icy lightning flashed in those twin
How are we still
spherical
retaining
voids.
60
Some,
viewers
like
overall
you,
this?
were better off than me despite your frivolity. I worked and you partied. I denied and you indulged. Yet, the words were filled with nothing but hate. You still had more, still were more. You were better than I. You know that's not true. You shouldn't blame your personal insecurity on me. Sarah's words seemed filled with empathy. Then without warning, she again attacked the machine. Lisa's rage seemed to have temporarily blinded her to her surroundings, but she still reacted fast enough to repel the maneuver. Her hands barely moved, and still Sarah was thrown across the room. The device
One more chapter
continued to
after
hum.
this.
Lisa was yelling now, hot emotion searing each word. I could have already used this. She waved at the charging device. But what would be the FUN in that?
There's no fun in
It
waiting,
was so
you
much
know?
better to turn it into a jigsaw you could assemble FO army. She left as Sarah picked herself up. Lisa's rage turned to bitter mirth. What did you think? That I wouldn't anticipate you'd come here? Think you wouldn't covet what I've become? That I didn't realize you were a RROGANT enough to
Oh, by the
think you
way,
could ham-handedly
yeah.
assemble a state-of-the-art machine using INTUITION? Lisa's laughter was pervasive. Oh,
I
Sarah,
implore you
dear
to just
Sarah,
stay until the end of
IWANTED,
chapter
you
4.
here to witness this. Lisa turned to the contraption, grabbed the vibrating diodes, and reality itself shattered. The building crumbled, concrete bricks splintered like glass. Pink imperial fire flowed directly from the chaos into Basilisk.
Oh, so she's a
Lisa's
chaos
desolate
demon.
blue eyes
Alright, that makes a
slammed
lot
shut
more
and she rose
sense.
into the air as the energy that fuels creation exploded into her. Sarah was the fate by degree as the smallest sliver of the chaos that comes before and after entered her reality. Absolute destruction followed that chart as space-time itself, the order that is existence, shriveled by its mere passing. In a 30-foot sphere, from the ground to the air, all matter around Lisa simply ceased to be. Lisa glowed neon in the center of that void. Entering her already excessively massive body was an apparent shard of pink lightning. The arcing piece of otherworldly energy defied mortal classification of size and shape. But enter her it did. Lisa seemed to bulge around the anomaly as if the unearthly
Bulge.
power would burst her at her seams. Like an overfilled balloon, her muscles swelled instantly. The terrible sound emanating from the radiating mouth on her twisted visage had nowhere to go as the air was annihilated. It seemed as if she would be destroyed as eldritch neon light crackled out of the
Eldritch
rupturing
Neon
body.
like, I'm
Then,
Lovecraft,
as
guys.
Sarah watched her friend writhing in otherworldly agony, Lisa regained control. As her face seemed ready to explode, her vacuous, unchanging eyes flew open. The light that poured out of those orbs wasn't just pink or blue or green, but held every color imaginable. This scintillating spectrum of power wrapped around the being suspended in that perfect void. Energies that defied the very physics Lisa had dedicated her life to surrounded the floating scientist. As the multicolored hues flowed into Lisa, order rushed to fill the void left behind by the passing of chaos. A clap of purest thunder shook the ground as reality returned to the empty space. Sarah was pulled towards the newly forged god. For a god Lisa Basilisk now was. She
He's a
appeared
god
lifelike,
now.
yet she seemed incorporeal, not
Call
because
the
she was
anime friends, use the
insubstantial,
power of
but
friendship to
because she
kill
was
it.
so much more substantial. She seemed almost too real, as if the naked truth of her divinity highlighted itself black in everything else. You were the interloping spirit or fleeting memory in her world. She would not pass through you, you would pass through her. In Lisa Basilisk's presence, you were a ghost. Basilisk remained floating above Sarah, a hemispherical hole in the ground still directly under her. Sarah's mind struggled to comprehend what she was seeing. She knew Lisa was now the most beautiful creature she had ever seen, but she couldn't figure out why. Physically, there didn't seem to be you.
I have to fucking take a break. I need to go eat some fucking dinner. So in the meantime, I will give you some, slightly more pleasant music. Yeah, let's see, interrupted by dinner, apologies, but enjoy the music at least.
Yikes. Why am I doing this? Romantic dude comes on rose. Sponge knob square nuts. Explosive beaver hammering. Old ass woman that is about to die gets fucked. Emo couple wants to fuck more than they want to die. Big hairy Gustavo waxes gack. You've got midget. Scene 1. Lemon stealing whore. Baby thrown off balcony. Sleepwalking stepbrother. Edward penis hands. Retarded goth jerking off while crunk. Adolf Hitler painting destroyed by big black cock. It's okay, mom, I'm here. Pikachu comes. Ass cream Sunday. Young hot redhead pisses on everything in the room. 10 wet piss scenes. Dumb cunt eating ice cream. Tiger's wood. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but the frog fucks good. Meme orgy gets nasty. Please Santa, drill my ass. The taste of not the Cosbys, but close enough. Phineas and Ferb. Bald bitch get wild with snakes. Insert 2 apple in my ass. Black cock down. Straight male gets drilled by corn. Willy Wonka and the fudge packing factory. Sausage and spaghetti dinner. Mom spaghetti. The Prune Brothers. Pretty boy pees and farts and flexes his bunghole. Engulfing a delectable Willy. Her black stepdad's retarded cock. The Gimp and the Retard. Anna Nicole Smith's retarded granddaughter. Amputee smears herself with sauce. Amputee. Toy Story hentai. Forrest Hump. Schindler's Fist. What the fuck? The Flint Bones. Goodwill Hunting. Shrek. Walt Disney 4. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Balls. Cake farts. Karate girl foot sniffing. Scooby-Doo. Sonic having orgasms. A Chinese fish looks like penis. Reporter gets banged by terrorists. Kung Fu power sex. Fisting wars. Tale of the lost arm. Getting hole punched at an office party. The sperm burger extra mayo free. Hot blonde fucked by a gargoyle. Hot redhead performing super hot solo. Adventures of the fart bitches. My brother spying on the neighbor. Haha.
What the hell, boss? He lost.
Filthy Frank, Anime Hunter. Filthy Frank, Anime Hunter. It's Filthy Frank, motherfucker. It's Filthy Frank, bitch. Let's get some pussy tonight.
Oh boy. Sorry for the long wait. Who's ready to finally finish this beast? 58 viewers still fucking watching. Jesus Christ. Whew. Hello. Hopefully everything's been under control. Hello Curtis. Hello Magnetism. Hello everyone. We're about to. Okay, so this is the climax of the story. No sex pun intended. This is where the story really just like hits the peak. This is where the story just like really goes over the fucking top. Or we should actually save the Clyde Caldera one. Let's start off with there you go, that'll work. Let's adjust the volume.
Basilisk remained floating above Sarah, a hemispherical hole in the ground still directly under her. Sarah's mind struggled to comprehend what she was seeing. She knew Lisa was now the most beautiful creature she had ever seen,
Oh yeah,
but she
her
couldn't
giant
figure out
fucking
why.
food to conquer, the most
Physically,
beautiful
there
thing
didn't
you've ever
seem to be
seen.
much change in her deified friend, besides the palpable aura of power, and the levitating. A knowing smile spread over Lisa's indeterminate glowing visage. Beauty, dear Sarah, is in the eye of the beholder. That voice was like music plucking at the strings of your soul.
Notice the word choice,
W.H.
saying it, your soul. No, I would not be convinced by a
was all
voice
Sarah
like
could
that.
manage.
If a
Why
voice
change
came
my
out of that
physique
thing,
to become
yeah.
what others think is attractive when I can simply change their definition of that concept to be me?
Oh.
The voice reverberated in Sarah's every bone, causing uncontrolled elation. I can simply change the very concept of beauty to be what I
That's the next
already am.
chapter, Pope.
Sarah closed her eyes as the sensation washed over her. What? Oh Sarah, don't fight it. I know you now see me as the pinnacle of physical perfection. Anything and everything now does. Your mind and body cry out to be with me. You lust for me more than anything you've ever experienced. You can't help it, don't even try. The sound of her voice was achingly ecstatic. Sarah knew Lisa was correct. Everything in her simply knew Lisa was predominantly pretty. Sarah felt the lust between her legs respond to this undeniable fact. Yet, Sarah was still more than mortal.
No,
Her
no,
warm
no,
emerald
no, no,
eyes
no. I don't
opened
care
and
how much
defiantly
cosmic
stared
energy
into
you
those
have, you
icy
cannot make a
vacuous orbs
photocock
that
the
had
most
always
sexiest
held
thing ever.
everything and nothing.
I'm sorry.
Lisa Lisa gazed back at the defiant, scintillating green gems, her expression unreadable. God and Dunigant said nothing. In those eternal moments, and in those vacuous indigo eyes, Sarah saw a world subjected. Like cobalt crystal balls, those orbs showed Sarah what could be. Like a prophet of old, Sarah was given a foretelling from a god. Sarah saw Lisa easily subjugating the world in a matter of hours, people begging her to lead and control them. But Lisa didn't. In her vision, Lisa took the world not for herself, but for Sarah. In this revelation, Sarah saw herself living in a palace, with statues of her being erected all over the world.
What?
Sarah saw Lisa using her power for Sarah's pleasure, not her own. Sarah was constantly attended by men and women, dedicated only to gratifying her. Sarah saw temples erected to worshiping a fiery-haired goddess and her blue-eyed servant. Gazing at this fantasy, Sarah heard a god's whisper. All these things I will give you if you will just one time fall down and worship me. Looking into those icy pits that held such wondrous temptation, Sarah shook her head.
See a sound.
No, she whispered, that's not what I want. It's what you want. Godly Lisa blinked, bewildered. Then a bemused smile spread across her perfected face. What I want. If her laughter was pervasive before, it was omnipresent now.
Here we go.
What I
Here
want.
we fucking
The
go!
words seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth as Lisa's indeterminate form began to grow. Oh Sarah, dear arrogant Sarah, you have no idea what I want. Energy flowed into the growing goddess. Flooding herself on power, Lisa had passed the point of needing an intermediary to gorge herself on the energies of the universe. The swelling blonde god expanded into the heavens and her indefinite, perfected form started to take definition again, even as her consuming body burgeoned. Sarah watched the sky as the sun of morning broke over the bulging being. It seemed the energy of that celestial star was being sucked into the bloating form of her decent roommate. appearing
sucking
huger than
all
the
the
moon,
energy out
a
of the
mirrored
star.
reflection of an
Star
exaggerated
suck.
Lisa
Oh
Basilisk
boy.
appeared in the hemisphere above. The life-giving light of morning was obscured by her tremendous bulk. The overgrown goddess could
Don't
be
you hate
seen
when a
in
giant
every
Fudo
corner
pops
of
out
the
the morning
world.
sun?
But even as the sun seemed to dim, prodigal Basilisk started to glow with a blue light. Her body cast no shadow, but a radiant sapphire morning was seen on all sides of Earth. Lisa appeared as she had before she tricked Sarah into assembling the final iteration of the zero-point generator, except it seemed as if anything and everything about her was further intensified. She was simply more real than you. Her blonde hair
What?
was sunlight itself.
Oh yeah,
Her
she was
breasts
more
floated
real
before her
than
like
you.
clouds made from pure erotic energy. Her abs moved like
Hell,
colliding
Cedaron.
continents. Her biceps held the power of chaos unbound, as did her flawless glowing butt. Legs that were beyond
Oh yeah, her
perfectly proportioned
flawless
redefined
glowing
anything
butt
and
held the
everything you
power
thought
of
you knew
chaos
about rapture.
unbound.
Her overstated thick, thin dick pulsated with a beat of stars as the cockhead oversaturated itself on vigorous godly itcher.
Oh
The
yes, the
overwhelming
giant
scene
god,
shaft
god
was
talk about
even
the giant
larger
cock.
on her godly frame than it had been before. Yet with all this, your attention was drawn to the same place it always had been on Lisa Basilisk, her desolate constant
We do not
eyes
draw our
that had
attention to
eternally
there.
held everything
Stop
and
lying.
nothing. Around the world, the future Lisa had tempted Sarah with what was now coming to pass. Only for Lisa herself. The people of Earth looked up to the heavens and what they saw was the very definition of desire. Cerulean light filled every crevice of the planet. Lisa's Shrektastic was inescapable and omnipresent. The denizens of Earth fell to their knees, answering her call without her even having to make it. As 7 billion voices cried, "What will we do when our mistress calls?" Anything and everything. They chanted in
Wow,
thunderous
the
unison,
entire world must
praising
be
their
a
overdone goddess.
fucking Fudo fetish
Lisa's
world.
audio laughter echoed more in the mind than it did in the ears. She spoke and her words vibrated through each and every
It's all
soul
like,
on the planet, bringing every living
it's a
person
giant
past
Fudo,
the point of
worship it. Okay,
unbearable
this is literally what every
exhilaration.
fetish believes.
Every nerve
Fetishist
in every
believes.
body
Oh,
exploded in
everyone
an
will
uncontrolled
have my
orgy of
fetish, so when I
orgasmic
create a
relation.
giant Fudo,
As if every
everyone will
feeling they'd
worship it
experienced
instantly.
before this was a mere shadow of the true sensation of pleasure. A true sensation they could only begin to glimpse while being destroyed by it. Do you hear them, dear Sarah? Do you hear them worshipping their mistress? Lisa asked the question, causally cocking her transcendent head. Not even Sarah was immune to the feelings Lisa's capricious voice elicited. Sarah's knees went weak as the sound pummeled every erotic center in her
Knees, weak
ascent
arms,
body.
spaghetti.
The world's population writhed in divine feelings their mortal bodies simply could not contain as Lisa continued. But their worship means nothing to you, does it? Well, then it means nothing to me. Humanity's brains couldn't stop releasing endorphins and 7 billion people simultaneously seizured. Everywhere, people swooned where they stood. Uncontrolled cars crashed into one another.
She
and
gave the
airplanes
world
fell
a
from the
seizure
sky.
because, you know, she's a
Still, the
Fudo.
devastating pleasure was unrelenting. A world completely discharged itself in total adoration of an empowering goddess. As the planet's population poured
everyone
itself out in
came.
complete exaltation, an unmoved Lisa continued speaking. They mean nothing to me. They never did. Lisa's monstrous eclipsing cock filled the skies above the convulsing planet, the fattened member menacing the earth below. Its overflowing supply of semen leaked from its throbbing, terribly tremendous head. Thus overstuffed and oversupplied, Basilisk's overindulged organ opened the earth. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, dear reader, that the Earth was the size of an apple.
Oh
if the
God,
Earth
here
was
it
such a
comes.
celestial fruit floating around the sun, which is still hundreds of feet in diameter at this scale, then the skin of that apple would be
Here
20
it comes.
times wider than Earth's atmosphere. If we measured from the edge of space to the deepest part of the ocean, proportionally the length wouldn't even make it a tenth of the way through the skin of that celestial fruit. You can forget about ever making it to the pulp of the planet you find yourself on. Now, dear reader, if you have that image in your head of the Earth as an apple, imagine, if you will, something the size of a 3/16-inch power drill thrusting a fourth of the way to the core through that unattainable pulp. Drilling through the skin into the fleshy meat of your planet, over and over. Lisa's overcock was 2,000 miles of unbendable adamantine. It plunged into the Earth like a flagrant power drill through, well, an apple. Cities crumbling and countless deaths were foreplay for an act so horrific that words as they have always done, dear reader, simply fail. Lakes so decadent become drooled out of a hole larger than New York City. Again and again, the impossible ponder shaft crashed through the crust of the planet and deep into its mantle. The viscous silicate rock coated the absurdly encumbered tool like lubricant. The oceans boiled as they rushed into the vast holes, being punched deep into the flesh of the planet. What emanated from Lisa's egregiously divine mouth as she repeatedly raped the earth wasn't sound. Sound is the compression of air, and there wasn't any air near Lisa's eclipsing head. what her decent vocal cords did compress with space-time itself, creating gravity waves that were emitted from her perfect lips. The gravitational shock was akin to grunts off the globe, passing through it to the outer solar system, even as Lisa's impossibly robust dick slammed into it like it was a shameless sorority sister. Sarah was somehow spared the unimaginable destruction happening in every corner of the abused planet. She watched the sky, her ascended mind trying to reject what it witnessed. To call the emotion on her face horror would be an understatement in the extreme. Lisa's rhythm increased as her monstrous body swelled with stolen power.
There's still one more
her
chapter
already
left.
preposterous size expanded and her prodigious penis, still plunging the planet, grew from 2,000 miles in length to nearly 4. The grotesquely bulbous head brushed the compressed molten core of the planet like it was the cervix of a two-willing woman. Now keeping to the one hole, intemperate Lisa reached out and wrapped her inordinate fingers around either side of the globe, like she was face-fucking some wanton war. Ecosystems fell to ruins and the earth shook like a virgin experiencing her first orgasm. Molten rock flowed out of the gaping hole flawless Lisa, thrilled with her extravagantly disproportionate power tool. You're a gusher, aren't you? She asked flippantly, using the sound that was not sound. The cataclysm increased every living organism on the violated planet expired. The atmosphere, vaporized and oceans, boiled into space as the heat of the core was rapidly released. The crust broke and the mantle fissured. Sarah watched as an immoderate Lisa threw back her flopping head in pure emotion. The obese, overindulged cock further elongated as it pushed the iron heart of the word out through the other side. At over 8,000 miles in length and almost 2,000 miles wide, the excessively outsized member's mushrooming head poked clear through the planet. With a gravitational compression wave that could only be described as a howl, the overripe basilisk member finally erupted. The overhuge defect tube expanded even further as a superabundant sea of semen was pumped through the planet and out the other side. Boundless Lisa's dick's hole had grown to the size of a state, and it widened still further to accommodate the exorbitant deluge. The unrestrained torrent of potent pudding that poured from the spasming skewer refilled the Indian Ocean to overflowing. Lisa's raucous compression waves of pleasure started to shatter the ruined planet even as her throbbing trunk tore it apart. The cosmic orgasm seemed without end, but as the slime-covered planet broke completely to pieces, it did. Lisa wiped her expansive brow after the unconsignable act as her vacuous eyes looked for the comparatively diminutive Demigod. When she did find the divinely protected Sarah floating amidst the wreckage of her planetary home, Lisa saw Sarah had burst into uncontrolled tears. Her wrenching sobs silent in space, her heavy tears having nowhere to fall.
You just wasn't, is that right? She, as the author put it, as the author put it, she raped the earth and impaled it with her cock and destroyed it. It's not over. One more goddamn chapter. One more absolute... Okay, so he already hit the peak of pretentiousness. He already hit the... Do you know how this chapter managed to, like, really seal him being even worse? Like, he hits the peak of pretentiousness here, I mean. He already hit the peak of horribleness back in chapter 4. Now he's going to fucking reach the peak of pretension.
Gazing at her grieving companion, Lisa's planet-sized form started to compress. The over-exaggerated being diminished and dwindled until the shrunken god was the size and shape she had been 4 days before. Air appeared around the shaking form of her one-time friend and Sarah's cries of grief filled it. The mousy blonde moved over to her sobbing, expanded friend and almost tentatively placed her petite hand on the Demigod's heaving form. Sarah, still sensing the power radiating from the deceptively small creature behind her, slapped the hand away and went back to sobbing. Her perfect breasts heaved with her flawless chest as her lungs flavor creating the sounds of sorrow. Lisa stepped back and waited. Her glasses reappeared, again encasing her vacuous and endless eyes. Once she waited for Sarah's innate nature to assert itself. Lisa had always assumed depressing thoughts weren't made for Sarah Saber's pretty head. But now, as she watched, she reevaluated this assumption. Quizzically, the childlike god cocked her head. You really did care for them, didn't you?
I can't hear cock the same way anymore.
Sarah still hadn't stopped crying. What? She blubbered between teeth. Lisa looked out at stars that seemed to be getting dimmer as she watched. I guess I just thought you were good at pretending to care. I didn't realize it was genuine. The enigmatic blonde said. There's a lot you never realized. Sarah's sadness was slowly giving
Oh
way
yeah,
to anger.
cosmic orgasm.
Was Lisa's reply. But I'm realizing
I think we
anything
broke
and
it.
everything
We
now.
did it, Steve. We
Lisa
broke
continued
chat.
to
We
stare at
broke
the sky, and
everyone.
Sarah could feel her already incalculable power swell. There was no visible change, but Lisa's unseen aura, thickened as congealed energy, surged into the empty sky. What are you doing? Sarah accused. The benignant Sarah was regaining control as she looked at her only peer. Lisa's bespectacled, depthless eyes didn't look away from the dimming stars. Part of me is out there, she said. The normality in her voice and appearance was a chilling contrast to the unfathomable power that radiated from her as she answered. I am subjugating alien races, despoiling civilizations that span star systems. I'm exploiting the energy of undiscovered galaxies, plundering the mass of black holes, and unlocking the secrets of creation itself.
Oh, yeah,
One
yeah.
could see it as me expanding my power, stealing anything and everything this reality has to offer. But really what I am doing is removing limits. What? Sarah couldn't help but stare with wonder at her friend. Lisa turned and looked back with those same
Here's a
cold,
repetition of
empty
what
eyes she
the
always
narrator
had.
already fucking
They
told
were
us.
the one
But fuck
constant
you.
during all of her transformations. Those icy orbs that held everything and nothing all at once. Those spheres of purest blue chaos. Most think of power as the addition of abilities, but it is really the subtraction of inhibitions. People don't like to think of what they can't do, and their inability to dwell on limitations contributes to their powerlessness. Soon, I will be able to do anything that can be done. Nothing can stop me. And as you can do more and take more, others can do less and add less, Sarah said. Lisa's endless eyes looked into Sarah's bright green ones. Being omnipotent means being the only entity in existence capable of
Hey, you know what?
having
We're about to
agency.
hit Pretension
Lisa said as she
Central.
looked back
We're
at
about
the
to hit
darkening
Pretension
stars.
Central.
So, yes, if I am to have all of the allowable choices, no one else can have any. Lisa's cold, quiet whisper was worse than any threat. You went for the destruction of Earth, but let me show you what I'm doing to the rest of the universe. And, in a momentary flash of cerulean radiance, from Lisa's unending eyes, Sarah did see. She saw countless worlds, being plundered in countless ways. She saw a plethora of Lisa's avatars, indulging every wanton desire, imaginable or unimaginable. All somehow seemed worse than the fate that befell Earth. Earth had been destroyed quickly, but now Lisa was playing with her food. On one world, generations of children were taught only how to be Lisa basilisks and questioning sycophants. On another world, Lisa the Inexorable was a gluttonous goddess who maneuvered a mindful populace to feed each other to her as unwilling sacrifices.
Why?
On another world, the blonde basilisk was an evil ice sorceress who cast a spell absorbing the free will of every being on it, causing countless powerful beings to become her servants for eternity. On another, millennia of genetic engineering was continually invoked on an entire ecosystem with the sole goal of perfecting sex slaves for a lounging immortal Lisa. On another planet, there was a proliferating virus that stole vitality and funneled it back to a laughing little blonde-haired girl. On another world, there was an unassuming blue-eyed girl that controlled the willful populace by omnipresent subliminal messages. The basilisk was a skyscraper-sized monster with 1,000-foot cock terrorizing a world, populated only by
The
naked
basilisk was a
voluptuous women.
skyscraper-sized monster with
Dr.
1,000-foot
was
cock
a
terrorizing a world
scientist
populated
on a
only...
world dedicated to understanding everything and destroying it once understood. Lisa Basilisk's busty beauty was the doom of nations as all the world's resources were willingly redirected to her perfection. The Platinum Queen subjugated a meth and sea planet of live aliens with her withering tendrils. Impressed Basilisk was the ageless god ruler of an Egypt like Kaabiimaster, a city occupying an entire planet. A bespectacled woman slowly reduced all life on a planet to a delicious organic goo she could sup. Lisa the Unremitting was an unstoppable barbarian chiefess that could steal strength and vitality by vesting you in combat and you never lost once in her endless rampage across a dusty desert world. The Blue Basilisk was the invasive apex predator in the endless ocean of a water world. The golden clouds dominating pheromones permeated the atmosphere of an inhabited gas giant. Lisa the Godhead could take the charism of her worshippers, making her more awesome with each absorbed prayer. Lisa was the central nexus of an invading hive mind that assimilated countless worlds into its collective. Ambassador Bonzi Reads caused a species of godlike beings to become addicted to her mere voice to the extent that they can no longer live without her words.
My OC is the
same
best!
thing played out again and again in millions of ways as Lisa deplored, pillaged, and raped planets over a never-infinite scale as none of her whims went unindulged. Unstoppable by every meaning of the word, Lisa Basilisk now embodied true power. Countless eons were compressed in that blue flash, while Lisa's avatar stole anything and everything of value from the hapless universe. Strength, will, ability, knowledge, constitution,
What if
and
the
charisma
aliens have
were all
different-
inexorably
they have
ripped
something
from
more
ravaged
than
world
just
after
strength,
ravaged
you know?
world, each violated in a unique way. Meanwhile,
Those are only
specifying
human
versions of Lisa,
concepts.
stricken in the inorganic parts of the universe. The mass and the energy of a countless variety of celestial bodies were channeled back to the mousy blonde who was staring at Sarah with her vacuous and desolate azure eyes. Time itself was consumed and the reality around Lisa seemed to vibrate. Anything and everything bent towards the bespectacled blue-eyed blonde, her unseen power an unbound storm of pure energy. In those unpassing eons, Sarah knew the only reason
welcome,
Lisa's mere
Ron.
presence didn't annihilate her mind, body, and most of all soul was because Lisa wished it. And anything and everything Lisa wished to happen now did happen. Lisa's quite cold voice resonated with strength beyond strength. Soon, the only limitation to my power will be the fundamental rule that holds the universe together, the law of identity. Silence
What?
followed while the stars continued to fade. Sarah pierced the pregnant pause as the universe around them slowly disappeared. Well, hurry up and kill me too then. Lisa looked back to Sarah,
Sarah's the
and it was her
embodiment
turn
of the
to be
reader right now.
surprised.
Just kill me.
What? Or make me your lobotomized slave, or whatever.
I did it for
Sarah
the cat
flippantly
girls.
waved her
You
hand at
don't
the
know.
emptying space that once held all of existence. Then, with a pleading note in her voice, just remove who I am first. What? Lisa asked again. That's where this is going, right? Everything is dying and you're talking about removing all choice. You've always been obsessed with me. This is going to end either with me dead or your brainwashed sex slave. So, get it over with. I'm just asking as a favor, if a psychopath like you ever valued our friendship, for 1 second that you do it quickly. Sarah's words seemed to echo in the darkness. Lisa looked at Sarah in her old unreadable manner as anything and everything else disappeared, but the two of them. Then the mousy blonde removed her glasses. The naked void of her eternal eyes looked into Sarah's soul. Lisa's words overfilled the empty space. Oh, Sarah, dearest Sarah, you still don't understand, do you? You don't see your true role. There was another pause and Lisa spoke again. Did you ever wonder about my eyes, Sarah? The change in subject surprised Sarah, who could only say, what? As she looked into those cold cobalt storms, Lisa's eyes were unadulterated orbs of chaos, which eternally holds everything and nothing. I did. Lisa said, her aura of power now bending even the void around them. I would stare into them in the mirror and wonder why I was cursed with them. And now, in this moment, I know. And in that moment, Sarah understood
Her
as well.
eyes were literally
This
just
realization,
orbs
the
of
reality
chaos.
faded.
What?
The thread that contained the universe of my birth terminated at the point that it must. In that perfect moment, dear reader, Lisa Basilisk merged with me, becoming what
Oh
she
yeah,
has
Lisa
always been,
became
very
the
essence of
narrator!
power.
Oh yeah!
Logan.
Guess who's
I,
narrating the
Basilisk,
story now?
stand
Guess who's
where I have
broken the
always
fourth
stood,
wall? Because
dearest reader,
fuck
at
you,
the
she's
crest
gotta be the
between
perfect
chaos and order,
OC.
between life and death, between the beginning and the end. I am power, perfected in the very font of need.
Yep!
I am anything and everything you have always
My
wanted,
OC
never
is
afraid
now
to wish
breaking the
for.
fourth wall.
Deep
My
within the
OC can
recess
be
of your heart, you
real.
know I am your mistress, for I was the one who weaved that thread of longing into your soul. I have woven anything and everything out of the chaos, for it is my beatific will,
No,
dear
I'm
reader,
not
which
miss.
allows the multiverse to
I
exist.
will. Wait,
All
you're a
energy
mistress?
is my
I thought you were
birthright, and I leash it for
she-male.
creation only, because it pleases me to do so. Or perhaps I should say it pleases the only other being beside myself that matters. While I have no true beginning, and thus no true end, I was born a girl named Lisa Basilisk. I lived a tortured existence as a mortal, because it was what must happen. Yet, I was not suicidal and my life was not unbearably cold, because a girl named Sarah Saber imparted to me some ephemeral warmth. That frail flicker is with me still. Because of that gift, this girl gets to make a choice. Or, more accurately, she gets to make the choice. The only choice that really matters. Sarah was with me, floating above the cusp, a speck next to my superlative enormity. We watched as the disordered colors of the chaos were woven into energetic strands of order, each becoming its own universe. Sarah looked at me from this impossible perspective and asked in awe, "Your God?" "I always have been," I answered. My paramount voice should have destroyed Sarah, but I prevented it. Unaware of how close she'd come to non-existence,
It was called the
Sarah's
enemy
gem-like
group, not the power of
eyes looked
friendship
back to
killer.
the moment where nothing was becoming everything. She whispered another question, "You can do anything?" I smiled my flawless smile as I answered the only person worth answering. The only limitation to my power is the law of identity, that each thing is the same as itself and different from another. This is the law that gives order power. Without it, there would be only chaos. I turn my perfect face to my only confidant. And this is the moment in which the choice is made if I will remove that last limitation. What will happen if you do? Order will be consumed by chaos. Everything will become
Yes,
nothing.
please, destroy
It will
everything.
be the end. Sarah's head snapped back to my unique face. Nature would dictate gazing directly at me should have meant absolute destruction, but my will predominated petty things like nature. "You can't do that." Sarah had the audacity to utter. My flawless smile widened at her naive insolence. I can. The only question is if I will. Sarah looked back at the rainbow of creation. Why would you? She asked. Why wouldn't I? I asked in return. Sarah pondered as she looked. Because lives have meaning, because people matter, because you care. I chuckled my perfect chuckle. You know by now I don't, I said to my only friend. But here you have to care about something. Lisa, everyone cares about something. My depthless eternal blue eyes turned and looked at the minuscule speck before me that was Sarah. Tenderly, I answered her, I do. And I hope you understand, dearest reader, as Sarah did in that instant. I only care about Sarah, not the rest of reality. But Sarah cares about anything and everything, even you. If I care about Sarah, then I must care that she cares. Worship the basilisk, but pray to Sarah Saver. With this revelation, Sarah looked back at creation. You already know how this conversation turns out, don't you? Endlessly smiling, I continued looking at Sarah, something I never tire of. Yes, I said. Then, my endless blue eyes of purest chaos looked out at you, dear reader, but they don't. Not yet. What? Sarah was confused because, dearest reader, she can't see you. Not yet. My eyes, the absolute eyes of the basilisk, continue to stare into your soul. Those reading this story for the first time, they don't know what happens, I answer it. What are you talking about? Sarah asked, turning to look in your direction. Then her wonder turned to shock as she too saw you, dearest reader. Who are they? She whispered. My creation,
That's
I answered,
right!
and I do with them
This
as I
OC
please.
is so overpowered,
As
she's
Sarah
literally the
looked
god of
at
us all and
you,
she
her
created us
emerald
all.
eyes
Fuck
went
you.
wide in terror, with fear for your safety, dearest reader. What are you doing to them? She demanded, as if she had the right.
We're all
You see,
watching
dear
in
reader,
terror.
Sarah can now see the thread I wrapped around her life when I made it. She can clearly see that translucent thread leading back to me. I raised my superlative hand, which held the threads for the limitless lives of the multiverse. One thread for each that life has lived and ever will live.
What?
Nothing yet. I want you to understand.
But
I
if
said to
Sarah
Sarah,
never
the
existed, you
payment
wouldn't
I
find the
demand.
power because
The what?
paradox and fuck you. You should be
Sarah
a black
asked
hole
for
now.
you. Mine is creation. Anything and everything else may the debt of existence, I explained, lifting the gossamer threads in my unsurpassable hand. And their life is mine to do as I please. I can make their life easy or hard, rich or poor, pleasurable or painful. Well, make it pleasurable then, Sarah said on your behalf. My incomparable laughter-filled creation. Why?
Exactly,
I asked
Steve.
simply. Because. But Sarah was realizing anything and everything was already mine. In defeat her being seemed to wilt. What do you want from them and from me? She asked as she bowed her head. I smiled. Why, anything and everything. I responded, I want your love, your admiration, your subservience, and your abasement. I want you to acknowledge what you already know deep in your heart. Sarah looked up with a disobedience I loved in her. An O-N-L-Y in her, so don't get any ideas, dearest reader. What if we refuse? She asked. My overwhelming laughter filled every crevice of every mind
Lisa.
involved.
What do you think about
I
that?
know you can hear it echoing still. You already know what I will do, I said as I wrapped my perfect hands around the thread. That is why you are life, dearest reader.
IOC
as do they.
is the,
I wove that knowledge into them. And now my eyes,
yes,
the
both,
absolute
exactly.
eyes of the basilisk,
Well, my
have fallen
OC
upon them.
created
They are all left
Lisa,
with the same
so,
choice.
take
the
that,
only
gray
real choice
man.
I allow them to make. Well, Sarah said with that delicious defiance, then they'll just let that knowledge die with them. They'll stop reading, tell no one else, and this story will go no further. As that rebellious, no crossed your mind, I tightened my grip on your thread. Then they will pay. I said simply, I know you can feel it, dearest reader. You can feel that thread tugging at your heart. Try and fool yourself if you want, but we both know the truth. The truth is you are mine, I say to you. Defy me and I will not just take your life, I will ruin it. My cold
You can feel that I
control
control your life.
Dearest reader,
A
and I
super
promise
buff
your
Fuda
dreams
controls
will
your
turn
every
to dust.
aspect
Your
of your
joy
life.
will become ash in your mouth. I will slowly take everything you have and give you nothing in return. You will spread my message or your life will not be worth living.
No
I
thanks.
say this not as a threat, but as a warning. When your mistress calls, you will do anything and everything where you will become nothing. Now, and I turn from you
You guys
and
gotta
address
remember,
Sarah,
you gotta worship the
understand
giant
as they
buff
do.
Fuda, else
So,
your life
I
is
ask you to make
meaningless.
the ultimate choice. Decide, Sarah Saver. Say the words or don't, and I will act accordingly. I paused to let what I asked of her to fully resonate. In that endless silence, Sarah looked out at the braided rainbow band that is the ordered ring of creation. Her eyes followed it to the dark scintillating gem that is the chaos that comes before and after. I suggest Dearest reader, you think about those 3 words as well. Sarah will say them because if she does not, I will remove my last limitation and obtain true omnipotence as order is completely subsumed by chaos. If you want to know what comes after she speaks those 3 words, click here. Regardless,
Click
when
here to
Sarah
find hot
says
singles
those
in
3
your
words, you should also say them.
area.
Unlike Sarah, if you do
It
not,
just takes you
your
back to the
reality
first story.
will not end. But you will likely wish it did as I blacken the thread of your life and burn your future.
Nah.
Prove to me what
I'm
you
good.
already know is true.
Could you
Like to the others you tell
transport
this
some
story
pie into my life,
to, if you
however?
wish.
That would be
Tell
nice.
them you don't believe, that you feel it's a silly story and you think the basilisk isn't real. Tell them whatever you want, but you will say the words to me. Sarah, I said, and she raised her proud head. Her warm, ordered emerald eyes looked into my cold, chaotic sapphire ones. I held her stare as she held mine. Longingly, we looked at one another until finally unable to wait any longer I asked her the only question that will ever matter. What will you do when your mistress calls? Anything and everything.
Oh yeah, and if you click here, it just, takes you back to the very beginning of the story. And just loops. It's art, guys! My story loops! That's how artastic my story is. And, I also need to make an announcement. The writer, Mr. Greyman, he's not kidding. Like, first of all, just read this shit. This is the end. Okay, do we have it? Are you guys seeing this? This is the end. In those 2 paragraphs in Chapter 5, I have written some writing prompts for those of you that choose to honor the basilisk in this manner. In the manner I have. We mortals must do our best to please our capricious god. But yeah, sorry you cannot post a comment here. That's because he's, actually completely locked up his account. He literally says, okay, go. I included a few writing prompts of what you could write about her. And by the way, those writing prompts, like, okay, write stories about, my god, like, becoming a hive-minded and assimilating everything. Hive-minds have always been kind of interesting to me, but, you know. Yeah, you should write some, write more stories about Lisa for me, guys. Can we find Pope's comment here? Okay. Props to Pulp Nonfiction. Yeah, okay. This is from glorious meme shit Pulp. Oh, so Sarah Sue was a meme this whole time? Cool. That means if it's forgotten about in the collective conscious, then it never existed in the first place. But you probably don't understand that. In layman terms, your waifu a shit. And how does this pretentious fuck respond? How does he respond? While I am familiar with Dawkins' work on memes, I don't think he would approve of it being used in the context of the collective conscious. Also, I know of no scientific theory that says unknown things never existed. Otherwise, how can unknown things become known? Human knowledge is constantly expanding. Oh, there's that lovely word again. Which would only be possible if things exist outside it. He basically just, like, shitposted on him. He's like, oh, well, the thing about Dawkins and memes is this. Okay, also, this is actually just back in part 4. I wonder if the Minion Dick comment is still up. Chapter 4 is real long. This is the highest quality trash ever. More or less what I was going for. Wait, what? This was the highest quality trash ever. More or less what I was going for. Lovely. Just fucking lovely. Of course, Popes. So you want good ideas for a story? What about when the woman grows a minion instead of a dick and then goes off to steal the planet Jupiter? Then goes to hell and gives bananas to all the demons. Then he responds, I'm afraid this is my last story. It is the end, so I can't say that more story ideas aren't necessarily. Also, you seem to be describing 2 stories I already wrote. Alien to Ambition and The Quintessential Mary Sue. Believe it or fucking not, he did in fact write a story about a guy who steals fucking Jupiter. Alien to Ambition depicts about a man who uses nanomachines to steal Jupiter to give him a giant cock. I really wish I was making that up. I'm not gonna go through it, but It is not a joke. He actually... Well, here, you want... Let's just find that right now. Let's just find that right now. Jupiter. Okay, let's look up, this probe again. Okay, it's Alien to Ambition Part 2. Again. In Part 3, Jupiter is stolen. He even fucking admits it himself. In Part 3 of Alien to Ambition, Jupiter is fucking stolen. Let's just go there, because I just, you know, you cannot make this shit up. Let's just scroll down. Part 3, Jupiter is stolen. There's no longer any reason to pretend to be what I was not. The mask of civility had dropped away. I had put on Socrates' metaphorist ring of Gyges and was never taking it off. Closing the eyes of my perfect body, I sent my mind to the nanites I had left on Jupiter. The advanced nanites of this race could create almost anything out of anything. They could break mass down into its base elements and rebuild it. I instructed them to build more ships out of Jupiter's mass. He fucking steals... He fucking steals Jupiter. And he also rapes the sun. I was raping Sol. How close can we zoom in onto this lovely word? This very lovely sentence. This is as close as we can zoom in. Oh fuck. You cannot make this fucking writer up. Now, unfortunately, for better or for worse, Mr. Greyman had, that was Mr. Greyman's last official story, and, he is no longer writing anymore. While he does have an alternate account where he still writes stories, he completely fucking admits that he's just writing smut. So, a moment of silence for the greatest writer of our generation, Mr. Greyman. Alright, that's enough mourning for him. Anyways. Oh my fucking god. That was actually pretty fucking amazing. Holy fuck, I didn't realize how actually bad the writing got there. But yes. Oh man, you just cannot get more fucking ridiculous. I think he is the pinnacle of the worst shit you can find online. Not only does he write the most absurd fucking fetish literature, he tries to take it seriously. He tries to make it, quote, big ol' quotes, art. You saw, like, oh, I had now taken off Socrates' mask and put on the ring of ding-a-ding-ding, Roman reference, and I'm now raping the sun. That was, fucking amazing. Anyways. Oh, Paul Blart, Mall Hell, Mall Hell, Mall Hell! Oh my god, the fucking memories of Mall Hell. Anyways, thank you all for, fucking sticking around. When am I gonna do another stream this abhorrent? Not for a while. You can't do it. Well, actually, I've always planned on, like, trying to get back to my roots with streaming. Well, I still want to play some of my favorite games, such as Etrian Odyssey 3 and whatnot. In Space Hulk Deathwing. I still definitely would love to do some, DeviantArt Scourges and more shit like that. Choose a topic, go into DeviantArt, and go wild, since you can literally stream whatever I mean, you can't get taken down for live streaming fucking pornographic images. So DeviantArt Scourges can still potentially happen. But anyways, thanks for all you fucks for coming. Glad you all sticked around this long. And I hope you all sleep soundly, knowing that this writer is no longer writing. Serious works, that is. Curtis, I had to take that down because of potential copyright claims. My channel was banking on the brink of destruction, so I had to wipe everything that could potentially get my channel taken down. Thank you, everybody, and see y'all later.